And then you have the post-election, which is going to be some movers. But for now, we'll send you on over to Sharif and Joe.
What a day.
The Bash Brothers are in the building once again. Go get them, boys.
Yes, yes, yes. What is up, beautiful people? Welcome to How to Trade, formerly known as That Midday Show. Joe, you outdid me there, man. Making me look bad, Joe. You're making me look bad. Welcome to How to Trade, formerly known as That Midday Show. That is your boy, Joey Options. And I'm Sharif, and we're going to wait for everyone to come on over from the other stream. Some of the OGs already working their way over. Shout out to Gaurav and Zion. Zion, that was hilarious what you sent me on the gram the other day. Shout out to you, my man. Tara the Dawn and Piper. What day would it be without the OG Darwin? Adara joining us as well. Day Trader Cut. Starburst. Andrew Chow. Jeremy Newman and David Clark. Ram. Shout out to Mateus Lane and Ron. Max Trades and Investing. Shout out to Ronaldo and Paul Goodson. Ezekiel Lepera, not Ezekiel Elliott that they were making fun of earlier in the show. Baron, Fiddleback, Hamlet, Juan Padilla, Mary S. Lyman. Peace to you as well, my lady. We got John Baker, 1320, Wolf, Glenn Smith, DB Cooper. How did you make it back, DB? You know about DB Cooper?
No, I don't know.
Tell me you don't know about DB Cooper, Joe. We'll get to it in a hot minute. Maxi Jr., Vicky and Novak, RB Raj, as well as Miggy Mog Mo. Papa Bears also decided to join us. Kyle Lynn and Jacoby Water. Shout out to Vin Duong and the world's greatest mod, Joe. Bears versus dang Bulls. Good morning to everybody. Hope everybody had a great morning. It looks like these markets are moving, Joseph.
Roaring, bro. Roaring, no kitty. Roaring, no kitty.
Roaring, no kitty. I love that. Anything you want to...
Yeah, I'm actually just looking for the article here quickly, Sharif. If I don't find it in a second, here we go. So this is just what I was looking at. So Amazon had some unusual options activity for November 5th. So really what that says is that there's a lot of open interest in between specific strike prices, and that's between 155 and 215. So that means that there could be a potential big move in that big star, Amazon, my friend. So I'm looking forward to that totally. And other than that, man, what a day, what a start to the session. Palantir was absolutely insane. I know we had a great time on the floor trading that. Wayner smashed it, Obi smashed it, so we were having a good time there. And yeah, we're just looking at, we got the election looming now, so my friend, so there's even,
It's an election.
Which one, right? So, hey, I mean, it's an actual action-packed day. The markets are roaring. Even though we're not up crazy amounts, it's still been a lot of fun, and especially with earnings like PLTR and other things on the horizon, and NVDA and IBIT also ripping as well, too, my friend.
All right, so Joseph, obviously we're in midst of earnings season. Anybody seen Palantir trading in the aftermarket yesterday knows that we are just that. So let's talk about how to possibly trade in those after hours.
I like this.
After hours.
After hours.
All right, Ram, let's get to work. So trading after hours is what we're talking about today, specifically earnings. So the after hours market is a unique trading environment. It's characterized by increased volatility and the potential for significant price moves. I should have your attention now, right? Understanding the dynamics, though, of this market can unlock the opportunity for potentially savvy traders. So let's get right to it, as we always do. Explain the concepts in a more basic tone. So increased volatility. That was kind of the first thing we said about the after-hours market. So earnings announcements often trigger those sharp price fluctuations, which can lead to larger profit opportunities compared to regular trading hours. And what ends up happening is, in case you're wondering, well, why is that happening in the aftermarket? Well, companies either report in the pre-market or they report in the aftermarket. And it's not, just human traders waiting at the computer, waiting to get the earnings release, read it, digest it, think the computer long or short. That isn't how it works. These algos are doing the reading. They're assessing the EPS. They're assessing revenue. They're assessing other metrics that they've been programmed to assess. And as soon as they do, they react almost instantaneously. So the second the earnings report is released, you're going to see that volatility in the price action. It sometimes spikes up, then down, sometimes down, then up, and sometimes it doesn't zig and zag. It just goes in one direction. And we'll talk about how to possibly trade that. So that's what we're talking about here. You get that increased volatility. It almost happens instantaneously the second the earnings report is released. So if you're into volatility and you like that kind of thing, and all you guys that trade at the open, you guys must love volatility because it's there in spades. It's also there in the after hours when earnings season is. So you obviously, because there's increased volatility, you get the opportunity for larger price moves. That just comes by natural extension. So the reduced number of participants in the after hours market can amplify those price moves. This can create chances for significant gains and or obviously losses. So there's the first mover advantage as well, right? So traders who can quickly react to earnings can potentially capitalize on price trends before they become widely known and they're traded the following morning. Sometimes the meat of the move is already done. So there's also a plethora of risks to trading after hours. We're going to cover those as well. The first is there's a marked drop in liquidity in the after hours. You're not usually going to be putting up the same amount of volume that you would be in regular market hours. That's not a hard and fast rule. Sometimes these earnings reports will garner enough interest from real traders and algos alike that the volume will be akin to, if not exceed, the regular market hours. So it's not a hard and fast rule, but one to keep in mind. So reduced trading volume can result in wider bid-ask spreads. And we all know what that is. That's the cost of doing business just by getting in and getting out simultaneously. So the spread's a little bit wider usually in the aftermarket. And this causes difficulty in executing orders at desired prices because of the spread. This can lead to something called slippage and increased transaction costs. And then there's also a degree of market manipulation because of the lack of liquidity in the aftermarket. So the potential for manipulation is a little higher due, again, to the lower trading volume. There's also the issue of false rumors or misleading information that can distort the prices. So we need to account for that. And as we kind of just obviously prefaced right at the top of the show, increased volatility, volatility certainly offers you opportunities for gains and losses. It also increases the risk of rapid and unpredictable price swings. So that's just some of the things you should be expecting in the aftermarket. So what are some strategies that we can employ to get in and possibly make some money? Let's talk about scalping. Taking advantage of, essentially what it is taking advantage of rapid price fluctuations by entering and exiting the trades quickly. This strategy obviously requires precise market timing and a high degree of tolerance to risk, okay? So in addition to being able to scalp during regular market hours where you're taking larger position sizes for smaller gains, now you have to add to that the nuance of trading in the aftermarket, which is more volatile, more spready, and obviously creates the opportunity for more potential wins or losses. So keep that in mind. And then there's also the equity straddle, Ram. And I'll show you guys what I mean by this in a second. So this is high risk. And I really want to stress that this is high risk. But sometimes it prints. And let's just look at Palantir. Palantir, I looked at the chart yesterday. This is a clear case where the straddle would have been money. All right, so here's a look. Palantir's price action yesterday was the following. Let's just say 41 to the low side and 42 to the high side. So we had a bit of a dollar range. The market was anticipating earnings. So let's just say, for example, right, it's almost 4 o'clock. It looks like Palantir reported at 4 or 5. Let's say now it's 4. No, I need to show the chart. Let's just say it's 4 o'clock, okay? So now what I do is I can place a buy order, stop limit buy order. Again, stop limit buy orders. Your market orders won't work in the aftermarket. And I'm going to place a buy order right here, and this is a buy limit. So I need to switch this to a stop limit, okay? So then I would switch it, however you switch it to your platform, blah, 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 that's the move. So then you're straddling it from the top side. So I'm saying, all right, if earnings beat, then I want to be able to trigger on this order to the top side. Simultaneously, I'll have a sell order that's not active because I'm going to put it as a stop limit order to the high side. So we're going to switch that to stop limit, and then we're going to drag that to the bottom end of the range. And what ends up happening here is that once the earnings release comes out, you either shoot up or down or you zig and zag. So in this particular case, with Palantir's earnings yesterday, if I had an equity straddle from the, or basically with a buy order at the top end of the range and a sell order at the bottom end of the range, there was no zig and zag on Palantir yesterday. I would have printed at 42 and change, and then you saw what happened. Now, let me give you a little bit more detail on this. Now, because of the issue of illiquidity in the aftermarket, I have to increase the spread, Ram. So what does that mean? So you've often heard me talk about increasing the spread for your stops. It also makes sense to increase it for your buy orders in the equity straddle. So let me give you an example. So the stop price here, I'm telling the computer, trigger a buy order if the price breaches 42.10. But again, remember, this is a limit order, right? So it's not going to just print at 42.10. There's likely going to be some illiquidity. So what I do is I put my triggering price at 42.10, and then I'll give my limit price up to 42.75. And what I'm doing there is I'm giving it a bit of a buffer, saying if there is an area of illiquidity between 42.10 to 42.75, pay up to $42.75. And so you're going to be like, well, why do I do that? Because there is issues of illiquidity in the aftermarket. So I want to be able to tell the computer, buy in between these two prices, 42.10, 42.75. Okay? Now, having said this to you, I need to tell you something else. That this is something that I discovered accidentally. The difference between the stop triggering order and the stop limit order cannot be greater than 3%. If it's greater than 3%, the order won't fill, and it'll just post, and then you'll watch it not fill. Okay? So this is an important market kind of little dynamic that I didn't know about, that when I was doing this equity straddle, it would not print me. So again, you're doing this to the top side, and then you're going to do the same thing for the sell order. And basically, the equity straddle is you're trying to take advantage of the algos responding to the earnings report and looking to print in whatever direction. If it's a beat, you end up printing on the long. If it's a miss, you end up printing on the short. But I really need to tell you that this is a risky strategy, because oftentimes you're not going to get this clean move like we got on Palantir yesterday. It's going to drop, then pop, or pop and then drop. It's about a 50-50 chance. So have at it however you want. But I really want to share this with you guys. And I'm showing you a chart trading over here. You don't actually have to execute it on the chart. You can obviously put it in text format. So hope everybody kind of understands. Did I explain that?
Yeah.
Was that
fantastic?
okay?
Yeah.
All right, so moving on. So that's the equity straddle. So obviously the pros of this, potential for high returns if the stock price moves significantly in either direction. The cons, obviously, of this type of strategy is requires a larger initial capital outlay. And if the price remains relatively unchanged, the trader can lose on both sides. Or, again, like I showed you, if it zigs and then zags, you end up getting short, and then it ends up going up, so you're out of the money. Or you end up getting long, and then it drops, and then you're out of the money. So just keep that in mind. And as I just prefaced a little bit there when I was trying to explain the equity straddle, your order types in the pre-market and in the aftermarket need to be of a certain type, okay? Limit orders specifically. Limit orders, just to explain what they are the price at which you want to buy or sell, right? These are generally the most common order types, and tells the computer, pay up to this price for this type of stock. It's not an open order to pay whatever the market is demanding. Market orders, these will not work in the aftermarket. Now, I gotta tell you, I've heard of cases where market orders have worked in the aftermarket and the pre-market, but as a general rule, they don't work. And for most of my testing, they haven't worked. And your stop orders as well, super important, because your stop orders in the aftermarket should not be stop market orders, they should be stop limit orders. So keep that in mind. And so just a couple of tips here for successful after hours trading. Technology, the first and foremost, make sure you have a brokerage that allows you to trade in the aftermarket. I gave the example, I think a few weeks ago, that when before I was with my platform now, I was with TD, and TD wouldn't let me trade until 8 a.m. right? And then I think it was like 5 p.m. or something like that. So I didn't get the full pre-market. I didn't get the full aftermarket. So make sure your brokerage allows you to trade during those times. Risk management as well. Implement strict stop-loss orders and position sizing to protect your capital, obviously. And market research. Research the earnings plays, no question about that. What time do they report? What happened on prior earnings releases? Did they beat and then zig and zag, or did it go in a straight direction? Because remember, we're talking about the equity straddle here. And emotional control, again, because of the heightened volatility in the aftermarket, you're gonna need to make sure that you've got the composition for that. So the price action after hours can be extremely volatile. Avoid impulsive decisions based on fear or greed, and please stick to your trading plan. I hope everybody prints up multiple stories. How you doing over there?
Good, brother. Yeah, we're in some Tesla here, my friend, right at VWAP, right where we want to be. I'll pull it up on my chart here, but I just want to talk a little bit more about earnings because Sharif is doing that, and I just want to emphasize on the importance of stop losses and just being wary of the volatility within the earnings print. If you're looking to play a straddle, then that's absolutely what you want to see in that. But again, from an equity standpoint, just be very, very careful. You don't want to just jump the gun on these reports because I've personally seen people lose an unfathomable amount of money on these, right? So you got to be really, really careful. There's other strategies like the one that Sharif's equity straddle, right? So you're kind of hedging your downside as well on that. You can just run regular option straddles. But also keep in mind, you can't, the way with straddles work, you can't open or close them after the market is closed, right? Or before it's open. So you need to really be wary of that as well too. There's ways where you can lock in prices by selling shares or buying shares against the straddle. But again, that gets a little bit more complex. But guys, when that opening print of the earnings report comes out, please, please, please just like, be wary and don't go too heavy. And honestly, Sharif, before I came on the floor, trading earnings was one of my major strategies. And what I essentially did with trading earnings, Sharif, was essentially a 5-minute orb. So I would wait for the 5-minute print of the earnings report and then play either a 5-minute opening range break up or a 5-minute opening range break down, which allows the volatility to phase out and you're not gonna get caught in those crazy price swings of earnings because that will blow up your account if you don't know how to hedge your position correctly using equity straddles, option straddles, or you're just going straight out, flat out buying equities, right? You need to be very, very careful when you're doing that because you can have such massive move, 14, 20% moves in the aftermarket that you can see it's like, boom, next thing you know, you're down a couple grand. And it's like, okay, well, what happened, right? And now you're bag holding, hoping for things to either come back to price or go to where you entered, right? So just be really, really careful in that. I personally like to wait for the 5-minute. If I'm not playing a straddle, wait for that 5-minute volatility to phase out, and then you can manage from there. And it's a really good strategy, Sharif. It's really good,
it's
cool.
Risky.
Yeah,
it's highly risky.
Yeah,
high
risk. Yeah, and that's why we're emphasizing on the risk of it. But with high risk comes what? High reward,
baby.
Right? So, okay, so just be really careful of that, guys. And also, there's many strategies you can implement, but just please make sure you have risk mitigation measures in place, all right? So that's it. But yeah, guys, we're over here. I don't know what's going on with the daily here. I wanted to pull something up on Tesla with my daily chart, but I don't know what's going on with it there, but that's okay. We'll just talk about what's going on here. Once I get that sorted out, I'm going to show something specifically on the daily that why I thought Tesla was going to turn around in the near future, especially after the earnings report. It put in a couple solid sessions, but then it put in about 4 or 5 days of consecutive red days. And it's like, well, that's not good backing of what just was released. Why aren't we continuing or have a modest pullback and then continue? But again, there was a max pain point. It trapped maybe a bunch of longs that were after the report high, and then now we're looking to move. So what I'm, oh, here, maybe that, there we go. Okay, perfect. So I got that sorted out. So let's just take a look at this from a daily standpoint. So we have the earnings, and then we have the solid days post earnings, and then we have these pullbacks, right? And one thing that I pointed out early in the pullbacks is that I like the volume by time profile on them because it was essentially dwindling volume on this pullback. So this is something that I want to see, diverging volume when price is declining, right? So we're declining in price and the volume is dwindling. Okay, good signal. What I also have here is now, after that extreme, we now have an indecisive candle with the volume now stepping in, which could be at a potential extreme low. And then that's when you look for that long the next day. Unfortunately, we didn't get the continuation. But from this point on, I think, Sharif, I think that it's only a matter of time until Tesla breaks 271 and we break this previous pivot high, and then we can continue with a 3 beside this name. And again, it's going to need a lot to back it, but from a technical standpoint, that's one thing that I wanted to point out. And then I'm going to send it off to Sharif shortly, but this is one thing I want you guys to take a look at as well too. And I mentioned this previously before. So what am I going to correlate this with? Google. You see you have this accumulation phase here, a sell-off, grab some liquidity and more liquidity. Then we have another accumulation phase here, and then boom, this massive breakout, and then we're going to correlate this price action V pattern, I like to call it, with Google as well too. And I just really want you to see how these really, really connect. And when you see this type of pattern, that it can give you really high conviction for a possible breakout, all right? So that's just one thing that I'm keeping an eye out on. And I also want to see if Tesla can hold the volume-weighted average price here as well today, too. We have this flat bottom. Sharif and I were mentioning it today because he says he's going to take a look at Mag 7 today. So we're looking at this flat bottom around 250, 50s, right? Right? So it's really beautiful. So if we can hold this, then I'm in this trade until this is breached. I do think that we can take another leg higher. We are only up about 3.5% on the session. So there is still some room to run. And I think that's going to come shortly, my friend.
Yes, I do see it. Thank you, Fabian. I see it. It's like white and blue, right? Okay, sounds good. Fantastic. I appreciate that. All right, Joe, that was some solid stuff. But, you know, true to form, I had to throw everybody a curveball. I said I would be in Mag 7. I'm into small cap gappers.
Oh, you threw me a curve. I struck out.
No, it was not by design, Joe. I swear. But, all right, here, Fabian, we're in REAL up 17 and change. Only reason, underline only, I'm in this for the VWAP hold, looking for a continuation. Already wet my beak on some profits. Where's that bad boy up there? Beak wetter. There it is, Joe. I got you.
I got you, man. I got you, my guy.
Always helping out, bro. So we're in. Where are we in? We're in at 57s. Just wet my beak there at 62s, lining up the outs. It's either that or I stop out below 44. Simple as that. I'm in another one for the exact same reason. EGHT, this one up a little bit more, 25.5%. We're in at 90s over here, layering out my outs. It's either going to hold VWAP or I'm out. It's going to really be that simple today with these ones. You know, we've been talking about the strength of the continuation of these small cap gappers starting to dwindle a little bit. Something you need to be acutely aware of if you're going to trade these small cap gappers, because their strength is very much momentum related. They seem to come together, and their continuity, or whether they continue or not, in the direction of the trend, seems to come like in bunches. What I mean by that is, I'm saying this really badly, but as a group, whether they have continuity or whether they give back the morning move, seems to come in waves, and they seem to be doing it together. It's not like one will have continuity and then you know, some others don't. That's obviously not a hard, fast rule, but something that I've
got a money storm going over here.
Yeah? Okay, tell us about it, baby, because I've got nothing over here. What do you got?
No, we're in from VWAP, man. So we're in from 251.30, now trading around 252. So that's it. You can go back to it.
Yeah, and I mean, that's a good look. People yelling about SMCI. We'll cover all of those in a second. I've got Palantir up on the side chart. Let's bring in, though, the side chart and talk about which small cap gappers we're keeping an eye on. So you ZCAR, if you've been watching your scanner today, you've probably had eyes on this one, the #1 gap scanner up 95%, but it's been a halt fest, and that's not really my style. ORKT was really nice, set up well, took VWAP, very directional, looked like it was going to bull flag. Now it's trading below VWAP, so it's got to get up above that 270 area and stay above 270. I'm not looking for a 2-candle pop and then drop. it's going to have to maintain its position there. VMEO also kind of, this is very interesting to me as well. I'd get into this one at around VWAP if it sets up in the same way. It hasn't made it there quite yet, so we'll pack our patience. We're going to go to Adira, though. She's got something for us at the big desk.
Look here at the
green screen.
We're going to take a look here at the larger movers at the upside and the downside on the S&P 500 so far today. If these or any other tickers are on your mind, make sure to vote for them in our subscribers-only chat. So hit that like and subscribe, then go in the chat and type !join, space, $ in your ticker of choice. You have until 1:50 to vote, and the top 5 tickers will be covered by Sean and Neil during our rundown at 2 p.m. So I like to have a theme for this segment every day. Today's theme is going to be some names making some rebounds after weakness yesterday. We're going to start here with INTC. Intel got hit pretty hard yesterday as NVIDIA usurped it in the Dow Jones. Now today, higher not only just as a rebound, but also with Digitimes alert reporting that its CEO, Pat Gelsinger, has met with the chairman of TSM. They're apparently finalizing some production capacity for 2024 and 2025. So a rebound and a positive catalyst for Intel today. Next up, we have VST. This is Vistra. A lot of the names in utilities, including VST, got hit pretty hard yesterday as we had the top energy authority in the U.S. deciding to reject that proposal for Amazon to get some additional power from the Susquehanna plant. Now getting a nice rebound, no catalyst, but a nice push to the upside for VST, up about 4% near high of days. Also near high of days here with a beautiful bullish look here is CCL. This is Carnival Cruise Line. CCL and a lot of other travel names were trading lower yesterday as we had oil pushing higher. We know those names usually trade in antipathy to one another. Today, though, oil a little bit flat and CCL and a lot of other travel and cruise names sharply to the upside. Keep an eye on RCL for the same reason, guys.
You ever go on a cruise?
I've never been on a cruise.
Neither have I.
No,
Never been on a cruise.
I'm an all-inclusive, big all-inclusive guy.
Same.
Big.
Same, but it's always resort-based, never cruise-based.
Exactly. We do a lot of those. So we have, me and my friend started a tradition in 2018 going away to Mexico for New Year's, which was just absolutely phenomenal. But
I feel like if you're Canadian, you probably hit a lot of all-inclusive because the weather is what it is up here.
Yeah, so, we have to accept it for what it is. I mean, it's November. It felt like a spring day today.
Dude, I don't know if you've been outside in the last couple hours. It's 22 degrees.
Yeah. It was it felt like spring this morning. But yeah, us Canadians, we like the all-inclusive snow.
Oh yes,
I guess
absolutely. All right, let's look at what we're doing over here. EG. HT, I'm waiting for the print. Bang! We get the first print there. All right, baby. Let's see if we can weasel on up into that $3 area. It's a VWAP hold underline for now. I'm not really pleased with the liquidity or the volume currently on EGHT. What do we print? We're printing 2.5 million on a $2 name. I mean, give me a little bit more, please. So there you go, zigging and zagging right now. Zcar is flying, guys. I'm not going to trade this because it halts far too much, and I don't enjoy trading the multiple halters. But here's the 1 minute on ZCAR. It's trending. So it found support for whatever reason at 7 3/4, 7.5, and now there you go, 9 1/5 HOD. All these little gray dashes on my chart are areas where there was no trading because it was halted for volatility. And each dash on the 1 minute chart is a 1 minute. Is 1 minute. So when you see them longer like that, that's a 10, that's a 15, these are 5, right? So Zcar is flying up, baby. But yeah, I'm gonna steer clear of that one. That's all you guys there. Let me know how that one goes. We'll report on it though for those who want to trade it. So ZCAR still moving up. I've also got my eye out here on Palantir. That kind of goes without saying. It's very directional. Took 51.10. It's been kind of, really has that magnetic kind of effect that the OB always talks about. It's coming into the 10 a lot. It's still putting in higher lows and, marginally higher highs, but we'll look for a bit of a deeper pullback possibly here before getting in. Now, I should tell you, this area crest on Palantir that we put in at 10.15, 10.20 is exactly the price we're at right now, 5 2/3. So this is a former area of resistance which could act, which I will submit to you, has been acting as support ever since we've been kind of ranging sideways over here, 5 2/3, 50 2/3 right now, Palantir raging out. Of course, we're going to be looking at Donald John Trump. It's election day. It moved big boy yesterday. It's up 15% today. It's above VWAP. It's off the highs. It's been doing the dance with no pants with 40 bucks, or at least it tried. It weaseled up into that $0.75. South of it right now, we're going to look to set up possibly at VWAP. I mean, it did have this double candle on the 5 that breached VWAP momentarily into the 37.25. So no question about it. Donald John Trump in focus today. I've also left Plug Power from yesterday. Plug had a really good day yesterday. And I mean, you can't really say that for Plug Power too often these days, but it's above yesterday's high, but it's doing the straddle right now, or I mean, it's hugging. I shouldn't say straddle because that usually means something else in trading, but it's really hugging the closing price from yesterday. I think it's 251, and we've been kind of just stuck at that 251 level all day. So I don't think this is going to be the continuation trade you kind of thought it might be. So I'm going to leave that one there. And then, as I mentioned, ORKT. If this one can get back above that 270, 280 area, it could present us with a good opportunity for trading, Joe.
Yeah, good stuff there, as always, my friend. So someone in the chat, Jaspreet Singh, asked me about BCTX. Again, I'm just going to be totally frank with you. I don't trade in biotech. If you're looking to get into these penny stocks, then that's your style of trading, right? But there's so many other good companies that you can own. I looked a little, I scanned a little bit over of the financials of this thing. It is a biotech. I don't know about this, Jaspreet. Again, I'll mention it before. There's other things that you can get in. I don't know what your average price is or anything like that, but as of right now, it's not looking too good. The future of them, unfortunately, I can't predict the future. So again, this is not something I would personally look to get into. And I don't know, if you're just holding, look for a way to kind of maybe mitigate your losses. But other than that, there's other things that you can trade other than BCTX. So that's just my 2 cents on that. I read a little bit into it, but as for biotech, that's a big no for me. I'm gonna give the Matumbo wave on those because seriously, I'm not gonna like, oh hey, I really like your stock when I don't like it. I'm being serious, man, because I don't want to mislead you or misguide you in any way, right? So that's just what I think about it. So hopefully, I'm just being frank with you, Jaspreet. I'm more than happy to answer your questions, and hopefully my insight will lead you to something. Okay, hey, yeah, maybe he's right, and maybe I'll allocate my capital to something else. So that's just my look on that, and maybe just look to mitigate the losses on that as well too. But Sharif, look,
yes, sir.
IBIT. We're trading higher, trading around 39.94. Are we going to go and test that 70,000 again today?
Highs,
I think we're going into the highs. Let's see, and we get in the momentum. I got to see what the underlying asset is actually doing. So we are at 70,000. We're just above 70,000 right now, 70,200.
Bitcoin's going.
So yeah, so Bitcoin is moving, and I'm glad. This is exactly what I wanted to see. It's kind of identical to the Tesla pattern. You can see that we had these really, really strong up days, and then we had the gradual pullback with the indecision within the candles. And I think that's a lesson I'm going to do for maybe next week, Sharif, is the correlation between volume and price, volume by time and price, I should say, right? Volume price analysis. It's really key. It's really fundamental to my trading. And I said this before. The candles, each bar is essentially a story, and when you can correlate those with volume, then you can get a better picture of the overall market. But as of right now, I'm absolutely loving what Tesla and what IBIT are doing. I wanted to get into IBIT, but unfortunately, it's starting to roar without me now. But guys, I'm gonna bring up this, what I was talking about with Tesla and Google, and I'm gonna bring up the Google chart now, from the daily perspective. And I just want you to remember that V pattern that we were talking about on Tesla. And I don't know if things were identical twins, they would probably be this two setup right here. So as you can see, we have an accumulation phase, boom, massive liquidity grab, we trade higher, more accumulation, and then we rip to the top side on the earnings report. Woo. Fantastic. So now we're pulling back. The volume is dwindling, which is a good sign. But with this specific setup on Google, is just keep an eye out. We want to hold this 166 level, essentially. So what was once resistance, we now want to become support, all right? So keep in mind, this is the Google pattern, right? I'll pull up Tesla one more time, and then you can see the correlation within the two setups, and then the large moves that came after them. And as you can see, Tesla as well too, after an extended period of time, held the resistance level. Wayner, what are you cooking up back there, brother?
Wayner's is pumped, bro.
All right, let's go.
I love when he like meekly says, "Send it."
Send it. Yeah, in the background. Send it.
It's gonna be louder than that, Wade.
So guys, yeah, just keep an eye on these patterns because they're absolutely fantastic. Yes, please. I have learned that unless there's volume, never trade a stock. So we'll look forward to lesson. Thank you. Okay, yeah, that's great already. There's already hype about the correlation between volume and price. So that's really good because it's really key. But wow, Sharif, Tesla's absolutely roaring. We're gonna send it off to you, my friend.
Yes, sir, bro. I mean, I wanted to mention, by the way, something that you brought up earlier today. You were talking about Amazon and the unusual volume activity that you were reading about, the open interest, I think specifically you were saying, right? Yep. Well, how about gander at your friend Amazon there?
Oh my, and this is the one that we're missing out on. We got FOMO or ROMO on this one.
more Dallas Cowboys shots. All right, no problem.
That wasn't even. But okay, but now that you think about it, no, we got the Tony Romo going on. Yeah.
Yo, man, that's so funny, dude. My buddy, this meme lives in my mind. Rent-free, Joe. It was because Tony Romo was injury prone.
Yeah, right? This guy was a bandit.
So it was like, remember when he broke his collarbone? It was like a 6-week injury or a 12-week injury or something like that. So it was like he's on the ground and there's like the referee looking at Romo and one of his players looking at Romo. It's like, come on, Romo, get up. It's just a coin toss, bro. It's like, he can't even hang after the coin toss.
But
Tony?
we have this guy in hockey that I play pickup with outside of the league.
Yeah.
But every pickup game he gets hurt, so it's hard to take him serious after some point. Oh, and that's how it is. It's like, how hurt are you really?
It's your question.
Yeah. So
shots fired there.
Guys,
seriously though, man, we're moving up here in a lot of these names, Joe. Amazon into the high of the day. As you see, Joe's holding. He's holding almost a $2 winner right now.
Go.
We're not going to jinx it, Joe, but that is a $1 winner. Take it, it's just the way it is.
Take it.
So that's a big boy win right now for Joe. But you've got Tesla moving into the high day. The Future, the NQ December contract up 1 1/5, moving into that 20,336 area. The monster NVIDIA. How could I forget about the monster NVIDIA? It's second only to Tesla in Mag 7 world for up on the day. Knocking on that $140 area. We just printed the high today, 139.92. It's well above the 10. It's very directional, very respective of the moving average. Specifically, the 10 is what I'm looking at right now on NVDA. So we're going to keep an eye out on these Mag 7s to point out the weak ones. You probably don't need me to point them out for you, but Meta bull flag, but is hugging VWAP. There doesn't seem to be directional buying in Meta. It is putting a bit of a compression pattern here with lower highs but higher lows, straddling VWAP. The dead one, Apple, is certainly dead today. It's only up 0.47, only second to Goggles in terms of, second last, I should say, to Goggles in terms of up on the day, up 0.45, rejected that 224 area. So we're going to keep a tab certainly on the Mag 7 as they come into highs, and we'll be looking for pullbacks to weasel in. Let's have a look at some of the trades we've been in right now. Yeah, nothing doing here. VMEO looks like that's the one that I missed. I chose EGHT. We're break even and in the money a little bit on them, but this is the one that seems to be going, and it did very similar patterns to EGHT and REAL, where it had that bull flag and then held that volume weighted average price of support. Now it's breaking in and printing highs, I believe. 706 just got printed. No. So 706 is the high that we put in at 1020. Did we test that? Yes, we did. So we got into that 706 level. It wasn't short of the high. So we'll see if we can, number one, stay above 7. Number 2, take out that 706 and continue heading higher. So I'm going to keep my eye out on that. And Palantir continues to hold the 10 exponential moving average on the 5-minute chart as it looks to take 51 decisively. Still unable to do that as it zigs and zags, but it's been a fantastic morning and last 24 hours, quite frankly, for for PLTR. Now, I've got IBIT up here because I want to see if we get a little bit of a pullback here in Bitcoin, then head up again. I'll get into IBIT. $40 is a bit of a top right now. We put that crest in earlier. That was a 950 and almost 10 o'clock pop and drop. And then we did breach that high, getting into technically on Bitcoin, 70,533 on IBIT. It was about $40.13, 12 cents, something like that. Below 40 right now. Looking for this one to set up, Joe.
Excuse me,
Get
yeah,
it, baby.
yeah, beautiful stuff there. I mean, we're almost there. We don't got much left here on Tesla. We're out about 90% of our position. So, but that was a really good move there that we got. I just wanted to go into the continuation of strength. As you can see, we had this accumulation phase here. And I'm like, okay, are we going to break to the top side? Because we did put in these really strong opening drives. And thanks, Greg. I know Greg's been killing it on Tesla lately. So this guy's telling me this morning what he did on Tesla. He is like from 243 or something, which is insane. So good luck there. But yeah, you can see this really strong opening 5-minute range. And then we have another supporting candle right after, right on the break of the 5-minute range. And then again, we're going back to the correlation between price and volume. This is an absolute genuine move there. So this is what I was looking for. And then as you can see on the pullback in this accumulation phase, that the volume was absolutely dwindling. And so once I seen that we are going to break, so we had a double bottom here, an absolutely beautiful double bottom at 2050, and then a break through that double bottom is when I'm gonna look to get in. But we're gonna talk some more stock. And Darius Golden, we're gonna talk some AMD right when we get back from Adara.
AMD.
As we do every day here around 11:40, we're going to take a look at some of the bigger earnings moves to the upside, the downside, and flat. Just some earnings names that we haven't discussed as much. Of course, Palantir with their report. But let's talk about some other names, both of which had pretty big misses. I also really briefly want to touch on Astera Labs, which is up about 20% here on a strong report across the board. They IPO'd pretty recently, earlier this year, and they also do have about a 9% short float. Now let's get to the names here being covered in this segment, including MQ, down about 40% here for Marqeta, showing no signs of bouncing. They did report in-line losses of 6 cents per share. Sales here missing a little bit, 127.97 million versus 128.08 million expected. The bigger issue, though, from what I'm seeing from analysts, was their revenue projections for Q4. They were projecting growth between 10 and 12%, but analysts were looking for 17% growth here for Q4 for MQ. Analysts, including Wells Fargo and Deutsche Bank, downgrading the stock this morning. We also have Celanese CE down about 25%, almost at low of days here. Much like Marqeta, no bounce to be found in CE. They did report a miss for earnings per share and for sales. They also announced plans to temporarily reduce their dividend by 95%. 95% starting in Q1 2025, saying that they're expecting worsening demand conditions in Q4, so they're going to be reducing their production in line with that. Also expecting Q4 earnings of about, Q4 earnings here of roughly $1.25 per share. Considering they reported $2.44 per share, that seems like quite the decrease. They also got a downgrade for equal weight from Wells Fargo, lowering its price target from 165 to 115. So lots of bearishness, understandably so, for CE after that very disappointing report and guidance. Now, what do we have on watch? I would be remiss if I did not mention Supermicro here. SMCI with a huge report on watch. More interesting, though, could be at 5 p.m. their business update call, which is where they're expected to address potentially the resignation of its auditor. We know this company has been under the fire for a while here. So SMCI expected to report here at 4:20. Analysts looking for consensus estimate of 51 cents per share for earnings and then revenue of $6.52. Coupang here, this is an ADR, could be interesting. Big Bear AI was one of those companies NVIDIA invested in earlier this year. So BBAI, we know also has the tendency to move, as does LUMN, Lumen. Before the open, we'll get CELH. That's been another pretty big mover. NVO, Novo Nordisk, if you're looking into that weight loss or GLP-1 space. Aurora Cannabis could be another pretty exciting one here as well. ACB, the cannabis space being hot. CVS Health, too, if you're looking for more of a calmer name. Earnings in every space, guys.
Thank you very much, Adara. Novo Nordisk. I say these because Adara told me how to say it properly. Adara, they're Danish? They are, okay. So their market cap is bigger than the GDP of Denmark. Yeah, it's just the way it is, Joe. The entire country, GDP, is smaller than this company's market cap.
Well, it goes the same with the top big boys, right? Microsoft, Apple. I was reading that their GDP is larger than the Brazil.
The market cap?
European.
Something's wrong with your mic. I'll take over for a bit, and then Ram will help you out with that. I'm not sure. It's just, Ram instructs, I do, right?
That's right.
All right, guys, let's have a look over here. All right, you're good
I'm
apparently.
good, I'm back. Okay, so yeah, back to GDP. Yeah, it's just larger than some European companies. Like the market cap on Apple, Microsoft, and NVIDIA is larger than some European and South American countries, which is absolutely insane if you think about that.
Intense,
So
dude.
wow, look at this, dude. You watching Tesla here?
I'm not.
Wow.
I'm living vicariously through you, Joe. How's it looking?
I don't know if I want to punch out this last little bit I got here, Sharif, or do we continue? Yeah, if we can pull up my chart here, that'd be absolutely fantastic.
He doesn't want to do it.
I mean, hey, okay, that's all right.
Violent today, bro.
If we can pull up my chart, yeah. Hey, that's it. Boom. That's it. Boom. That's it. Do we punch out? I don't know. I think we hold this last little bit here, guys, because this was absolutely an absolute stellar of a trade. Just want to go back to the daily price action. Darius, I know you had a question in the chat too, saying what does a wick tell you in a candle? It can tell you so many different things, my friends. It's all about where that wick is and the time that wick is. So we'll get more into that, but I mentioned this book before. If you want to get a head start, Volume Price Analysis by Anna Cooling, all right? That's a book that will really help you correlate, even though she's from the UK and it's kind of a Forex-based book, but it still absolutely applies to the equities front. So, yeah, that's a good look there, guys. I don't know, I was going to say something else. Oh, yeah, AMD. Yeah, never mind Advanced Money Destroyer. This thing, yeah, like,
wow.
bro, this thing is, I'm sick of this thing.
I'm sorry, bro.
Yeah,
I'm sorry. I know that you're bitter.
Yeah, I'm out of it now, but I'm sick of this thing. Me and Lisa don't have a good relationship right now. But other than that, look at what the overall market's doing. Look what NVDA is doing. Look what the Qs are doing, the SPY, and all the other large cap techs. And then look what Advanced Micro Devices is doing. So talk about weak sentiment. This is the definition of it. The stock is weak. I got to dig more into the report because I know they had double beats, but I don't know what's going on with it, Sharif. If you can give me some insight on it, that'd be fantastic. But other than that, I don't even care what it does for the foreseeable future, that's for sure.
All right, I wanted to mention a couple of names that we haven't mentioned today, Joe. I know Adara mentioned them earlier on because they are reporting on Thursday. Affirm, Ram, and Upstart. They're up nicely on the day. It's a good look for both. Let's talk about them. Affirm up 4.88. It's a distant cousin Upstart up 7.18. But if I had to choose, Affirm's chart looks a little bit more bullish than Upstart's. We got descending highs on Upstart with, it looks like a flat bottom in and around $50.50, where VWAP is hanging out. This looking awfully flat bottom breaky. If that VWAP level gives way, contrast and compare that with Affirm, where we're putting in decisively higher highs and higher lows, and we're knocking the door to break and take through 46. You had a couple of wicks already breaching 46, but you can tell that there is profit taking or shorting being done around in and that level. So we'll see if it's able to break and take through 46. On the way up, it's been awfully respectful of the 10 exponential for the more shallow retracements. The deeper ones, as you can see over here and over here, have held up at the 20. So if you're inclined, you can shadow the 20, shadow the 10 if that's how you want to get in. Otherwise, you can just get in wherever it is and then DCA into one of those levels. That ain't my move. But these ones I wanted to mention because they're certainly on watch. They're trending, they're directional, and it's a good look so far on them. Now, it looks like we're kind of double topping a little bit here on IBIT, and by extension of that, obviously, Bitcoin. I put this bad boy up on the chart because I'd like to trade this if we can. Bitcoin, obviously, one of the, the conduits into the election, right? If you're pro Bitcoin, you may be siding one side. If you're not really, or you don't care, you go on the other side, or whatever. That's kind of an oversimplification, to be honest. Anyway, IBIT, we'll see. It's in play today, and Bitcoin generally is in play. So we'll keep tabs on that. Now, the positions that I'm in are absolutely doing nothing at the moment, so I'm starting to worry about EGHT. It's looking awfully flat bottom breakish, like it wants to drop below VWAP. I'm not really liking the look of this one's jib, even though it is ranging and respecting VWAP. But that's a look. Guys, Zcar is going to halt again. Here goes Zetkar. There goes through 1247. I don't know what the halt level is, but this bad boy was just at 1065. Now it's at 1253. Yeah, it's got all sorts of momentum. It's got all sorts of volume, just unpredictable in how it's trading. This is the 5-minute look. This is the one now. So yeah, you can see there's a whole lot of spread, a whole lot of volatility on this name. It's up 207%. It's going. There's no question about it, but it's, you know, is going to give you the direct trade without stopping you out and zigging and zagging. So right now I'm keeping my eye on this one. I didn't want to trade it, but you know, now it's really got my attention. So ZCAR up 213% and really going here. Good look for this name. I don't have much else. DJT's just broken down below VWAP again, so I'll be looking for this bad boy to set up in a bit of a different way. This is not really what I'm looking for with DJT. Even though, you know, it's kind of shown me its propensity to respect the 50, exponential moving average on the 5, and that's kind of where it's at right now. So we'll see. If it holds up at the 50, I could be persuaded to get in, even if it hasn't set up exactly, and we'll look to scalp there, Joe. So not a whole lot right now happening in my world. We'll look to do a little bit, maybe we'll get into some large caps here because I'm not really getting a whole lot of love from these small caps.
Ooh, yeah, maybe we Sharif.
Yes, sir.
Wet our beaks in some IBIT here because we are holding a little bit above VWAP. As you mentioned, though, it looks a little double toppy-ish, but I still want to play this. I think we have a really strong momentum day going on. I want to see if we can continue into this momentum here. Our good buddy Greg V says hold till 254. On Tesla. So, all right, that'd be a diamond hand for sure play on that one if we hold to 254, Greg. But we're sitting around 253 there, guys. You know I like to go through the sectors and see what's going on. So I'm just going to see who's what sector performance and who's leading the markets today. And, of course, that is going to be consumer discretionary with our guy Elon and Amazon leading the way. All right, then we got industrials in second place. And then technology finishing in third, well, not finishing, but in third as of right now, and then communications in that fourth place there, guys. So those are the top 4 sectors today that are performing the best. You have the discretionary with Tesla and Amazon, guys. So Tesla's up about 4% on the session, which is absolutely fantastic. That's the type of strength you want to see in a rebound, especially after somewhat of an extended pullback on it. You want to see a really, really strong day. Can give you a little bit more conviction. But Sharif, speaking of conviction, what I like here is you see that candle on IBIT right above VWAP.
I'm in it, baby.
You're in it? Okay, all right. I was about to do the same, so maybe we wet our beaks because we like the setup. And guys, we're not copycatting trading each other.
And even if I was, you have good ideas. What, I can't take your ideas?
No, for sure.
Copyright?
No, there's no copyright here, so we don't have anything patent over here. So yeah, we're in here. We'll see if we can hold. If it breaks that low, then I'm going to get out of this trade around 39.74. But other than that, I think we're valid and we can continue. So if we continue this pressure north of 70,000, then I think we're going to go and test those other highs soon there, my friend.
Jabril Evo, great question, brother. And it's one that many of us have pondered, even when the Mara indicator, a.k.a. BPI, a.k.a. Big Patty Ice, get it, we miss him around here. No question about that. And he would always complain, and a different word, obviously, about Mara, because he was constantly trading Mara, and he was always looking for correlation with Bitcoin and crypto in general, and he would never get it. So I would submit to you, Jabril, that you need to kind of remove that out of your mind about the connection. Sometimes they'll trend together, sometimes they just won't. So I think Mara's got its own unique circumstances, being a miner and stuff like that. I don't think it's a pure play, obviously. You want that pure play, you got to weasel into IBIT or MSTR or something that just holds strictly Bitcoin. Let me know how it goes, obviously. But yeah, I just wanted to tell you that because that's something that we've often pondered. All right, I took another print there on IBIT.
Oh, what?
I'm looking for...
Oh, you have a way better price than me.
Yeah, it's not bad. It's not bad.
Oh man.
Where'd you get it? 95? Yeah, you were not bad either, bro. So I'm waiting now at 98, Joe, to front run that size at 40. We know already 40 rejected earlier. Now it did a little bit better a second time around, but I'm just trying to account for probability. So I'm looking, I already wet my beak here a couple of times on IBIT. In case you're wondering what this is the BlackRock ETF. It's a spot Bitcoin ETF, okay? And That's one of the newer products, obviously, this year. Thanks to Gary and his boys over there at the SEC, doing a fantastic job. Couldn't do better.
Mr. Genzer,
Couldn't do better over
wow,
there, Joe.
wow.
He's excellent. So that's the situation right now we're in. Guys, Affirm just took out the high of the day. So I'm happy I mentioned this to you guys. This is going AFRM. It reports on Thursday, as Adira brought to us this morning. Both it and Upstart are trending, but if I had to choose, Upstart is higher on the day percentage-wise, but the chart does not look as good as Affirm, and Affirm is running. So it's a fantastic look now on AFRM. We're going to have to see how we can weasel into this. It's getting extended away from the 10 exponential. So I'm going to pack my patience. Palantir also just got into the high of the day again. So 51.19, Joe, is the high of the day. We just printed that high not too long ago. This one continues to go. And anything, as you can see, anything off that green solid line you printed, it's just really where you put your stop, because you do have wick breaches of the 10 exponential, but you don't have any closing prints south of that. So if you're able to pack your patience and wait until the 5-minute candle closes before you execute a stop, you've been rewarded today on Palantir. So it's going, guys. Keep that one on watch. What are you looking at, Joe?
Yeah, I'm just over here keeping my eye on our IBIT position. I don't know if I want to get out of it and then potentially get a better price here, Sharif, or just hold a little bit longer. But I'm thinking that we're going to start to pull back a little bit here. I could be totally wrong, and if I exit, then I'm going to miss out on the trade for sure. But that's okay, because we had a really nice trade on Tesla earlier on the day, and I seen a couple people mention NVDA in the chat, and this is what we need in order for this market to continue to move the way that it is. We need to see some clean price action from some of the larger players in the game, and that's NVDA. It's been a little bit of a choppy mess since it broke its all-time high not too long ago, and I don't love it up here. But I mean, again, if we go into some new price discovery, which I'm hoping, then we can see a little bit better price action, especially if we decide that we want to move to the top side. But in order for this market to continue on this clean path, we're going to need them to participate and participate well. So we got NVDA up about 3.12% on the session, and then we got the Qs and the SPY both sitting around 1%. So yeah, guys, my thesis is kind of my secondary plan is kind of playing out here on IBIT. So I'm gonna get out of it, and then I'm gonna get back into it, I think, at a better price. Yeah, see, look at that flush as I got out, which is fine. So we took a little small loss, but I think if we continue, if it's gonna be a strong trending day, then I'm gonna be able to get a price around 39.80s maybe, and even if it comes and tests VWAP again, I think that we're gonna continue on this northeast path. So that's something that I want to continue and keep my eye on. As for anything else, guys, let us know what you're looking at. We can run some analysis through those. But as of right now, I got my eyes on the mega cap tech. I'm gonna stay in Tesla. I don't know if I'm gonna add into Tesla here, Sharif, because it is super strong and it is up 4% on the session. I do think we can continue a little bit higher. Greg mentioned 254, but I do like 254 and 255 as a potential target on the day. But we're going to need a lot of the big boys to participate in order to get that type of price. So, but as of right now, we're absolutely happy with this trade on Tesla, and that's why we don't care about taking a little small slap on the wrist with that IBIT trade, because I think a better price is coming shortly soon.
Yeah, I moved up my stop, Joe, to account for the latest drop below 40. This was something that we were worried about. That $40 level, given what it had done earlier at exactly 9.52, 9.53, whatever, rejected 40, almost to the dollar. It did end up breaching it. Look at that. I mean, it weaseled up to $40.13, but it was quick. It was a very, very brief moment spent above 40, and then down we went again. And that's why I got in there to account for that drop, thinking, it could have been a liquidity grab for the shorts. We'll pack our patience. I've moved up my stop, but I'm leaving my beak wetters exactly where they are. Now, this trade continues to lull me to sleep. REAL, I've been waiting at 63s to get printed for a hot minute. It hasn't been printing because it hasn't crossed. So this one I'm really starting to run out of patience with, especially if there's no liquidity that's coming into the name. This is not one of those ones that, I'm in because there's some sort of fundamental reason. This was a pop due to catalyst, a VWAP hold, and then a respect of VWAP. If it doesn't respect VWAP, or if it wants to put in lower highs, I need to account for that because then the trade could be in trouble. So we'll keep tabs on that. Now, up we go again into IBIT. Where am I waiting? I'm waiting at 98, so we'll see if we get printed in and around there. Let's flip back to ZCAR, because this one could be a really good one now. Now it's setting up in a way that I like. Look at this. Now, 4 candle setup over here with $13 generally. Technically, it's $12.87, but we'll say 13 as the high. But look at what every successive candle has done. Higher low, higher low, higher low, and you guessed it, higher low. So could we be bull flagging for that 13 break and take? Here, you're going to have to stomach $1 a share there in terms of range for your stop. Why do I say that? Because look at where we're at right now. We're at 12 1/3, 12 1/4. All right, so then I just wax poetic about this higher low situation. So if I was just to put it below the low, this candle over here at 11.50, I got to give it to around 11.15. That's already $1.15. Now, if I'm going to give it to the 10 exponential, which I submit to you, the chart really requires, because it hasn't breached the 10 exponential, I need to give it all the way down to 10.75. So punching in here, you're really going to have to account to where your stop placement is going to go. And if you can't stomach that kind of drawdown or drop, then maybe this is not the one for you. And that's really the reason I didn't get in it, because I didn't want to be giving this $1 range on a name like this. In any event, it is now 12 o'clock, and we're going to throw it up to Adara, and then it's going to be Neil's lesson of the day.
Huge day for these markets, of course, with the election on watch, as well as the FOMC meeting in just over 48 hours. We'll get that rate decision. S&P 500 coming into a pretty critical area here of potential resistance and previous support, just around 570, just above 575, sorry, up almost 1%. NASDAQ here looking very similar chart-wise, up even more, up about 1.25% here. So indices really strong with chips and Mag 7s leading the way as everyone awaits these election results. Palantir, of course, really strong off of earnings. Intel rebounding nicely after that Dow Jones removal. We also have INTC CEO Pat Gelsinger reportedly meeting with the chairman of TSM. So some more chip news on watch, as is always. Lots going on in that space. We also, of course, with the election, have DJT on watch here, gapping up about 13%, hanging out around that $40 level. This will absolutely be a stock to keep an eye on as we head into the rest of the day and the week. Then we've got Palantir here, PLTR off of its earnings. Right now wrestling with that 51 level. Bit of a shelf, but seeing some higher lows. If these or any other tickers are on your mind right now, get in the chat and vote. ! Join, space, $, and your ticker of choice. You've just under 2 hours left to vote. You have until 1:50 p.m. Then at 2 p.m., the top 5 tickers will be gone over by Neil and Sean, with Sharif providing some commentary there on the green screen. With that in mind, we'll actually see Neil right now at the big desk. Enjoy the lesson of the day.
Thank you very much, Adara. Lesson of the day is going to be spurred by a question we got this morning, but I just want to quickly, if I can, live here. Moderna just dropped a couple of dollars. I still haven't seen a reason for this move here just yet. I have nothing on Twitter. I've got nothing on our news source. But on volume, Moderna with a really big move to the downside. Anyone watching it here, it just went $2, trying to rebound. But the question we got today was, and I'll discuss that, and I'll discuss, you know what, I'll just show it now. Palantir was a 49 breakout. Once it confirmed higher low since the break, second higher low, that gave me a trend line. Hold on to the last piece until it got out of the trend. So I'm going to come back with the lesson of the day, but I'm now out of Palantir as it broke the trend line down. Let's go to Adara for that news story on Moderna and come back.
I have the story of Moderna. I'm seeing one source post this on Twitter. I could not find this in Benziga. I'm not seeing a citation. So as I get more information, I will let you guys know post-haste. But I'm seeing about 5 minutes ago this tweet here. Apparently, Moderna's chief commercial officer has resigned, according to a source. I'm not seeing who reported this, not seeing who the source is, so I'm going to find more information. But as of right now, we're seeing this circulate at the very least. Volume spike to the downside for mRNA, which is actually set to report here later this week with about a 9.7% short float here. CCO reportedly resigning.
Thank you so much, Adara. That's why we try to give you everything. When something is moving, we're going to talk about it for sure. So back to the lesson of the day. The question we got, can we get back on my chart for a second there, Ramin? We come to my chart? if you have a stock or a trade that you want to set up or that you want to be into, you've got to have an out first. And if you don't have an out, then you don't have a trade. And the reason for this, we got a question: how do you get away from a losing trade? And I think the answer needs to be before you get into the trade. Because if you start coming up with reasons after you're into the trade, suddenly looking at your P&L, coming up with all kinds of reasons that are going to confirm what you will hope will happen, so you're going to be biased in that regard, those are going to start leaking in, and then you're not going to be trading about the price action or any kind of a semblance of a plan. And if you don't have a plan, then you can't go forward and replicate your success or replicate your trading strategy and then levered up. You just can't do those things if you don't have a plan. So when we say you have a reason to get out before you get in, now I'm going to get into what I like for Palantir, which was a couple of things. You had a clean break of the high, don't like it in the pre-market, and I would have said I like support at 46. So I'm looking longs above 46, and I want longs, if it loses VWAP, wait for 46. If it regains VWAP, then all trend trades are always good in that particular case. So it doesn't, after losing VWAP, it doesn't get to 46. When it regains VWAP, it didn't really give me a solid entry. The only trade I take is the breakout trade. I'm going to get into where I want to get out on a breakout, but there's multiple ways you can do this. For myself, I generally look at the previous support area if I'm taking a breakout trade, because I want to go dip buying on a trend without having to hold that original breakout. So I simply just look at what is the prior lows. You might give it a viewed extra, but down here about that 48, 75 to 80 level in here is where I had to stop on that breakout. It was a pretty clean one, although I missed it at 03s. I got it on the way back in, and I like to scalp out in the 1-to-1 range. Usually at least a quarter to a half of the trade on a scalp trade, looking for then dip buys a little bit more aggressively. But you have to ask yourself, okay, well, it almost came to $46. Why no entry? And the way I would see it is, if my Alamo is going to be down here, and to be honest, this is 45.85, which means any long trade, my stop's going to be underneath 45.85. That's where I believe I'm wrong. So I just can't have a trade in here. On Palantir. So if I'm taking a trade off of 47, like here, which is a good long setup, it holds the pre-market lows, you get a reconfirmation here, it's about 47.35 to 47.50. That's $1.70 worth of risk. So when that plays into that high, that's less than 1-to-1 if it gets to a double top. So that trade in here, if I take that trade, I need to hold basically the whole position until it's getting back into that high and then look for extension, because it's too wide of a stop for me if I'm getting an entry there. Now, if I decide that I like the pre-market low and you get that wick, it's one thing to say I want to be long 47.50, but because it's not at my kill zone, I'm going to stop out at low of the day or prior bar low, something along those lines with a tighter stop. If I can make that determination that I'm wrong under here, then I don't mind taking that trade. Otherwise, I have to wait for a trade that sets up on trend where I actually have myself an out. Because ultimately, you don't want to take that headshot if it's going to be unnecessary. And everyone's going to be a little bit different in terms of how you want to trade and find an entry point. But I got to have that exit, which means sometimes you don't pull the trigger. Now, in terms of maybe another trade here that I want to show you where you've got to have that exit point before you get into it, I'll show you one on trend and against that grain on Intel. I actually have a couple of, but one I already talked about. So you had a couple of trend reversals on Intel, and I will always predetermine, am I going to take these trades on Intel? 100%. When it's at resistance, 23.5, when it's underneath resistance at 23.30. So I'm waiting after it trends up to make a trend reversal into VWAP. When I get the entry, this is a specific strategy, and you've probably seen it a few times. I only have one thing to decide. It closes underneath. I'm either taking a consolidation here or a breakdown of that prior bar. And then the only decision I have to make is, am I out prior bar high or the high of the day? That's the only decision I'm making. And here I made the decision tight stop because resistance was at 23.50. But before I'm even in the trade, as a matter of fact, when the trade is just setting up, I've made that determination. Unless it gets to 23.50, I'm not going with a high of the day stop. I'm going with a tight stop. and you can see tight stop in there. I have nothing else to do. When it gives me the other trend, I wasn't actually even at my desk, and when I came back, it was pretty much at the same level, so I would have got the same entry here as I did there. But because it's at 2350, which was my resistance zone, my stop is predetermined at the fresh high of the day. So I'm, again, looking for a VWAP retracement. And when I get 46s in here, I'm not scalping anything out for 5 cents because I'm risking 10. I need this moving down into 30s, 25, 20, 15. That's predetermined before I'm even in the trade. And so if you can't determine where you want to get out or what style, let's say I can't decide between where my stop is going to be, then just don't take the entry. If you can't figure that part out, then just don't get into the trade. And until you get that part of the equation, it's okay to sit them out. Everybody's going to be at a different point in their journey. Trust me, we've all been there. It's when you don't have a stop, you just take a random position because you like the direction, and then you don't have an out. Well, it doesn't matter win or lose at that point because you can't grade that against how much you would have lost because you didn't have an out in the first place. So when it works, you're now blind as to what your risk to reward was in any real sense. And if you end up losing on a trade like that in the future, you're going to take what we like to call a headshot in trading, which we talk about quite often. You want to avoid those headshots. And if you don't have an out, that's how you end up bleeding. The other way to think about this as well is the trades that you don't take because you don't have an out. Now, anybody that's been watching Boeing for the last little bit knows I've been looking for this to make a rounded bottom and a breakout. And I wanted this thing, yesterday I said a 50-period hold, 157, longs over 157, over under 157 on Boeing. So as simple as this, it's gapped above, stock opens up, are there buyers above 157? And when that flat out doesn't emerge, I'm not bidding in here. I can't take any longs on any bounces because it's underneath that 157. Now in the pre-market, if I had this trade, I'd probably stop it out under the pre-market low in there. I don't like it in the pre-market, so I wouldn't have had it. But it just never gives you an entry. So yes, was I only looking long in Boeing? 100%. But if I only have, in my sense, the outs down here and I don't have support levels I like, then I can't take a trade in Boeing. Unless for some reason I'm going back and saying, okay, well, look at yesterday's low, and I'm working off of yesterday's low. That's a different story. But I wasn't. I was looking at resistance into support, so no trade sets up, and I can't have a trade in that regard. And I'll give you one last one that I'm really happy that I never shorted, and that was going to be Tesla, because there were only two levels to look at for me. It was 250 and it was 255. So if I know that 255 is my out, it never really went high enough to give me an entry into the short on trend, so I'm not taking those trades. And then the 250 level, okay, it got to 250, but why no short of 250? Because where is the execution in with a 250 stop on Tesla? I use a 3-minute chart, and if there isn't some semblance of a reasonable entry point where there's confirmation that the level is holding as resistance, then why am I going to stand out in front of it? It doesn't even make any sense. So in this particular case, that one line in the sand never presents itself with an entry, so I don't take it. If you get this type of price action around 250 and I don't have a short, then I would slap the fail on myself. Because if that had been 250, I should have had it. Because that would have given me trades where I can have a reasonable execution and a reasonable out before I get in. But if I like 250 as a level, the only way you could have played 250 is for longs. That's about it. So you don't take the trade. Boeing, Tesla, never set up the trades. Palantir, it only set up for me the breakout trade. And you've got to be able to determine in your own trading strategy where your out is going to be and what it means to be wrong. Maybe it's not a level. Maybe it's not like $47 or $250 or 100 even. Maybe it's a moving average. Maybe you're looking at Bollinger Bands. I'm not saying one is right or one is wrong. You can use indicators if you want. You can use prices, support and resistance. You can use trend lines, whatever works for you. But as long as you determine what out and wrong means in your trade, then you can get in. And it's one of the most important things that you can do in trading. I'd say it's the second most important. The first one is make sure you put capital into things that work for you. And then, of course, if you're going to do that, predetermine where you're going to get out or what it means to be wrong before you get into a trade. Like I said, if you cannot answer what it means to be wrong on a trade, it's not going to mean anything when you're right. It's meaningless to have wins without some semblance of limiting losses or having some kind of risk to reward between your wins and losses. And if you don't know what wrong is, you're never going to know what right is in any real sense. That's your lesson of the day. Have your exit plan before you get in to your trade.
If you like what you heard, join us every day around that noon hour. Neil's lesson of the day around these parts. We don't say he drops hot lines. We say he drop a Neilage.
Neilage.
So I'm not allowed to say that.
Neilage.
Shout out to Adair who came up with that term. Joe, anything you want to cover before
I know you
about the $100 win you had there on Tesla,
Oh my
buddy?
God, it's going. I didn't add. iBid is going for Sharif too, but we still got a little bit. Our good buddy GV said hold. Greg the Fifth said hold for 254. So we're gonna do just that. The volume is absolutely starting to pick up here on Tesla. As you can see on the lower time frames, that volume is starting to step in as we go to break the high days, and that's exactly what you want to see for a breakout trader. Now, Sharif, I know you got something cooking up over there in the pot. What is it? Right? It's a little modest. Okay, a little slice of humble pie is what.
I'm really happy with this iBit trade. I got to give you credit for that, showing me exactly the level there, Ram. So it's a good trade. But I want to point out Zedcar, because I lied and said I wouldn't trade this, but this was the level there, guys. I mean, I love this level coming in. I was just talking with Joe and Adair about this while Neil was doing his lesson of the day. This came into a level that I liked. So somebody in the chat messaged me, Sharif, Zedcar is halted. I took a quick look on the 5-minute side chart, and what I saw was we were basically at the double top or whatever, this area crest over here that we rejected off. So it was around 10 1/3. And the rejection was pretty wild because we dipped all the way back down into 8 3/4 off that 10 1/3 pop. So I said, all right, that's a level of importance. Let's base something off it. So I got in here. I got in at 10 1/3. I wet my beak initially at 10 2/3. I took it all the way up to 10.95, and my best out was that 11 1/3. So we ended up taking a bit of a dollar there. I'm happy with this trade, but true to form, and we always talk about this when we're as traders, you're always disappointed because you could have taken a little bit higher. You could have taken a bit more size, more shares at the open, but I like how I traded this one. I want to see if it sets up again. Now, let me tell you what else was discussed between us when Neil was doing the lesson of the day. Look at this 1150 area. Look at the wicks that come into 11.5 once we reached it by some distance. I mean, we got up into 1286, 1287. That's a high of the day. We kept wicking off that 11.5, using it as support. So when we got back there, I was looking at Dara. I'm like, should I punch back in here? She's like, no. Wait until it gets above this level over here, and more accurate she could not be. So the human algo strikes again, this 11.5 acting as a bit of a local area of resistance. Let's see if we can break and take that 11.5 decisively on a closing basis, and I'll weasel into this one again. Here we go. This one could be coming in to 11.5 quite soon. So that's a look there. iBit, we take that top wick right back below 40. Joe, it dipped down again, but we're gonna let this cook. We're gonna let this cook. If it wants to zig and zag and make higher highs and higher lows, I'll deal with the pain. But we're gonna keep a close eye on this one. And last but not least, guys, this trade that's lulling me to sleep on real. This ain't real. This is crap. So we'll look to basically weasel out of this the moment we can. I've got a beak wetter set up at 363, but yeah, I don't have too many high hopes for this bad boy over here. Even though it's holding VWAP, and who can dislike that? It's just it's not giving me the break above the range. So yeah, I'll pack my patience there. So good look so far, Joseph.
Yeah.
Tell us about that Tesla trade.
Amazon, yeah, we're all out of Tesla now. Yeah, we're all out of Tesla now, so that was an absolute banger. But Sharif, I'm a little jealous of the iBit trade that you got cooking up over there because it's absolutely monstrous. And I like iBit. Everybody knows I like some iBit. So
you got that in the long term.
Oh, do I ever? Hey. Do we ever? And we're sizing in. We're sizing up, man. But in all seriousness, when you have a high conviction within a setup, I like to justify it to myself as it's basic supply and demand, right? There's only so much supply of something, and as the demand for Bitcoin grows, then essentially something can become more valuable. So that's just the way I look at it. I'm sure there's more mechanics to it, but again, we all know that there's only X amount of Bitcoin out there. I forget who it was. Was it Mark Cuban or somebody said, he was like, yeah, as if there's only going to be a couple, 23 million or 24 million Bitcoin. You don't think that they're going to make more? So I don't know. That's his 2 cents on that. I don't know if that can be done, but it won't be the same. I know there's wrapped Bitcoin and other things, other meme coins and stuff like that, but can you replicate Bitcoin again? I'm not sure. So there is a fixed amount of that. So with that comes basic supply and demand, and with the halving cycles too. So we're cutting things in half, so there's less supply going into the overall markets and blockchain. But again, I'm a firm believer in it. I'm going to hold off a little bit, and I'm just going to touch on Amazon because it's up 1.62% on the session. And I mentioned the open interest within the options market on Amazon, looking for price targets around 215 and a big swing around 155, which I think is more of a hedging standpoint than what the actual price can move to. So we're going to continue to look here, and I think if we go for 200, which I think is the all-time high on it, 201-ish is the all-time high on Amazon, which I think is going to be breached within the coming weeks, and especially after the election. So whatever, if the market direction decides to go northeast, then Amazon is definitely going to follow that, and I think it goes for all-time highs there. But it's just an absolute party of higher lows here. This thing is trending really, really strong, and that's something that you would want to be a part of. And the overall market is participating in that as well too there, guys. So when you have these mega tech cap stocks moving higher and the overall market is moving higher with them because of the weight, then you can just look to join that trend. And I don't know if you look for the reversals as of right now, because on the pullbacks, you can notice on every consolidation or accumulation phase that the volume is extremely low. So keep that in mind, that this can signal a really strong market. And in this case, it is, right? We are extremely strong. We're up 1.6 on the session with Amazon. The Qs are up 1.35% and the SPY about 1%. So everything is really strong. Everything's putting in a really strong session, especially with Tesla, the consumer discretionary, now printing highs. I got out Greg, I paper handed the 254. I'm sorry, my friend. But again, Tesla up 4.6%.
It's ridiculous. We were talking off camera, you and I, about our friend Elon. Going on the Joe Rogan experience yesterday. So I got about an hour deep into that. I haven't been able to do to watch the entire thing. Obviously, a lot of Elon specific talk,
stuff,
and you and I were talking off camera as well. He's not a really eloquent guy. It's hard to get information out of him. You have to be paying attention. He's not a great speaker, eh?
No.
Brilliant, but not.
You know what he kind of reminds me of? It's what Kanye West said about his brain. It's like a symphony in his brain. He has so many different thoughts, and he's trying to project them onto you. But it's like, okay, focus, say what you have to say, get to the point. But there's just so much going. He's so smart. There's so much going on that normal people like myself, it's like, all right, just calm down and just like project what you have to say. But he's not the best at it.
No.
Remember the last time he was on Joe Rogan, he tried the marijuana.
That was the first time.
That was the first time.
The second time, I think like a year ago, something like that. And then like he obviously came on yesterday.
Did you know that he had like everybody at Tesla had to get like drug tested in SpaceX and stuff after that? After he did that. So,
he was talking interesting about SpaceX yesterday. He's like, yo, what we do at SpaceX is considered super national security because of the rockets, and other countries can take the rocket technology, fire weapons at the United States. So what we do is highly classified. And then they came at him, one of the government agencies, one of these 3-letter agencies came at him for not hiring asylum seekers. But he's like, but hold on, I thought I wasn't allowed
exactly.
because of the whole thing. So he gets into a lot of stuff anyway, kind of beyond the scope of the show. But if you're interested in Elon talk, there is 3 hours of it.
Bro did not just compare Elon to Kanye. No, I'm not. I'm just saying from a thought process standpoint, there's so much going on. And you guys know what Kanye West, the guy just says whatever, and he's got too much going on there. Yeah, are you looking at this Tesla here?
I am, man. I am. It's just going higher and higher and higher. Joe, 255 incoming here on TSLA. It's coming up to 5%. It's a great look. We just took the top off there. I don't know why I'm analyzing this when you're the one that was trading it excellent, but there was obviously a level here at 253 and change. That was initially the 10-10 high. We tested it again, Joe, at 11:45, and look at that break and take right there. This last little candle over here, the 5-minute going into that 254.70. So Tesla on its way up. Is there resistance that we need to account for over here? Well, there was. This was the level back on the first. That level was about 254. We're above that. Well above that, 70 cents worth of above that. So we'll keep an eye out on Tesla. What's the next level here? Well, we've got this area from the 30th and the 31st. It's a low end area, so it's former area of support. Let's see if it acts as resistance. I'll submit to you, it's about 255.75 to about 256, give or take. So area trough over here from back in the 30th. And then you have this pre-market low on the 31st, so on Halloween. So Tesla certainly strong, the strongest of the Mag 7, no question about it, followed by, I believe it is NVIDIA. Is it not? Yes, it is. 2 3/4 on NVDA. Someone was yelling me, yo, Sharif, UCAR, back above 12. Yeah, it spent like all of 10 seconds up there and then zigged and zagged, and now it's at 11. But what I do like about this is we're still buying the dips. Like, look at this big drop over here into 10, and then now every successive candle has a bit of a higher low. Not strictly in that sense, so it could be in a consolidative mood right now. We'll see if this one keeps trending. IBIT, we're still involved in IBIT, obviously, and we're still involved in Real. So let's pull up these bad boys, see how they're doing right now. IBIT, below 40. I'm going to leave whatever I've got on this one. So I want to see if we can break and take above that 40.10. Obviously, we've been using that level as a level of resistance. IBIT, though, up 4.5% on the day. Not a bad look at all. And Real, maybe I should move down my order. Just an idea if I'm complaining about the range not printing me. So let's go ahead over here and hang out at 362. And so maybe we'll get printed if we move down the range a little bit. So REAL in focus. I don't want to take out too much here, guys, on Real. And let me show you why. Because when you look at this from the 5-minute chart, it does look like it's not a rounded bottom. It's not. But what we do have is a little bit of a higher low situation going on here. And if that's the case, then we could not flat top break, because obviously we have a higher price on the day, but we could break through the resistance. And I'll submit to you that resistance is around 364, 365. I haven't been able to see the book above those levels quite yet. But if we do get up there, I'll have a better perspective of what kind of resistance is waiting for us above that 365 and then into that $3 3/4 level. Because I don't want to take out the entire position if we're going to do a VWAP hold high of daybreak, right? Because the point of that trade is to wait for the initial move up and then a consolidation above or at VWAP in the illiquid time of the day, only to have that high day tested again in the more liquid time of the day. And these are a bit, like, think about it. Think about that. So it makes sense from a logical perspective. Forget about the technical side of the trade. If something was very directional early and then the buying dries up, but it doesn't give back the move. So that means somebody's interested in it enough to keep it above the volume weighted average price and not have it revert back into some lower area. So we'll keep tabs on that. I still, even though I put my order at 362, I'm still not getting printed. So there's obviously issues of liquidity here. Maybe I'm just not first in priority. I don't know what the hell it is, but REAL, probably not the best trade on the day, but we're profitable on it. So that's all I'm going to say about that. Let's flip back to IBIT, have a look at that. That's still at, I believe, $40, a little bit below $40, Joe. We're straddling about $39.95, give or take. What are you looking at?
Yeah, I'm over here at SMC. I'm taking a look. I like the way the price is starting to form out a little bit here. And it goes to say a little bit about that daily pattern that I was talking about, but this is SMCI, and it's a little bit of a weaker stock, clearly, as we know. This thing has been absolutely decimated over the past couple of days. So I don't know what I'm going to do with it here, but I do like what the setup is. So I want to see a distinctive break from this channel, this price compression channel, and see, because I think I want to short this stock, but I don't want to short it above VWAP, so I'm just going to sit here and wait and see if it sets up. That doesn't mean I'm going to take a trade on it, but I'm going to want to see volume step in, and I want to see this flat bottom break here, this level of support. If that breaks that 2610 and then we push through, if we flush through VWAP at 26, I think I'm going to, excuse me, I think I'm going to take a scalp on that one for sure. And I'm also keeping my eyes on IBIT because it's starting to come in a little bit as well too, trading around 39 bucks and 90 cents. So I thought I was going to get a better price on it. I missed the price that I wanted to get on it. I was going to the washroom, which is fine. But then it made the move that I was looking up to north of 40 bucks. So I'm going to wait for it to come back here. I think it does retest VWAP here again, and then maybe we can take that other leg up. But as for breaching the high day on it, it is pretty extended. So I don't know if that's going to set up the way I want it to, but I'm going to still keep an eye on it if it does pull back through VWAP. I'm going to keep my eyes on SMCI because just in case it does break VWAP as well. But guys, I just want to mention this absolute dumpster fire that I I was talking about earlier today, and that is advanced micro devices. This thing, I don't know. Dumpster fire, I don't know what's going on with AMD. They're supposed to be second place in the AI race and the chip race, but these guys are a little bit disappointing. But I will mention one thing that I remember, one thing that I do want to point out on it, and this is volume price analysis when it does show up. Where is it? Anyways, I'll find it later, but we're going to go to Adara, and then we're going to talk a little bit more about AMD.
To take a look here at some of these small cap movers during the midday, small and mid cap actually for these. If you like these or any other tickers and you want to know what Sean and Neil have to say about them, vote for them in our chat. Make sure you've subscribed because it is a subscribers only chat. Then type !join, space, $, and your ticker of choice. You have until 1:50 to do so. And the top 5 tickers will be featured during our afternoon rundown at 2 p.m. IWM pushing higher here, up about 1%, mirroring the S&P 500 and the NASDAQ in that regard. And most importantly here, above that 222 level as of right now, trading right now about 222 halves. We pushed above this level. Next resistance looks like that area just above 224 that I'm kind of gesturing here to, that we last got to on Wednesday. So let's see if we're able to clear that high after finally reclaiming 222. Now, HIMS, this is not a super small cap name. Her M's and hers held about $4.3 billion market cap, but gets lots of attention here with an 18% short float. They beat their earnings per share and sales estimates reporting after the bell yesterday pretty significantly too. They also raised their guidance for fiscal 2024 well above estimates here, so good look for HIMS. Next, we have the real. Sharif has been involved in this name today. REAL is actually here up about 18%, market cap of over $300 million. This one reporting in-line earnings per share, beating on sales, and having stronger than expected Q4 sales guidance with a 23% short float. Last but not least, another small cap earnings names here, TDUP. This is ThreadUp, lowering its sales guidance for the fiscal quarter, but actually raising its guidance for the fiscal year. They beat here smaller than expected loss per share and a sales beat for TDUP with an $82 million market cap and a 5% short float. Again, vote for these or any other tickers, !join, space, $, and your ticker of choice.
Yeah, Joe and I just making jokes we can't say on camera, so let's leave that there. Thank you very much for that, Adara. So I did get stopped out, Joe, for the last little bit there on IBIT as it dropped below my entry, so I didn't want anything to go against me there. We'll take a 1 penny loss on the remaining amount. IBIT, look, it's really strong, but it came into an area of support, didn't hold up. Wants to hold up again, break and take 40, I'm all eyes and ears. So we'll keep an eye out on IBIT, no question about it. But Dara already told you guys this. I'm going to remind you again, the afternoon rundown. Literally, nothing without viewer input. If you don't vote, Neil and Sean can't tell you how they would have traded your name. And I know a lot of you want to know exactly how they traded it. And if they didn't trade it, how they would have. So get into that chat right now. Come on. Join, !, the word join, space, $, and the ticker of your choice. Let's see what people have voted for here. Laura Marshall voted for Adara. She thinks Adara is a ticker. You can't vote for her, Laura, but I think she does appreciate it, obviously, because you're showing her love there. But yeah, Laura Marshall voting for Adara. Let's see what other people are voting for. Blake Colton voting for talk. I didn't even know talk was moving, but he voted before that for HIMS. So I think that's what he was looking at there. But Blake, you voted for SoFi, HIMS, and talk. You can only vote for one, my man. So get into the chat if you haven't already voted and vote your way. Bilbo Bag Holder, great name. Join UVXY. So he's voting for UVXY. What do you want to vote for? Well, Lance Streifer, talking about what you were just talking about there, advanced micro devices or advanced what?
Advanced money destroyer.
Money destroyer. Lance, if you want to see what the situation is with AMD, get into the chat and vote for it right now. But only the top 5 tickers make it on, guys. We would love to be able to, obviously review every single one, but only the top 5 make it on. There you go. SRMRM. He's voting for Boeing. Lake South Tiger, make SMCI great again. Maybe if you vote for it, it'll be great again.
Crazy.
I know, right? So get into the chat, guys. There you go. Daniel GM voting for SMCI. Almog voting for Palantir. But Almog, you missed the $sign, bro. It's going to be very upset. And by it, I mean Streamlabs. It won't register your vote. And then we'll blame it on Rammer. So that's the look there. Guys, REAL, I didn't even get filled at 62, so I'm really getting frustrated with this one. It's back into my entry over here, but it is ranging, so I'm going to assess it now as a range and nothing else. I think if I add here and then just get 61.60, that's going to be the end of the trade for this one. I don't want to trade it as a breakout anymore because it is awfully consolidative right now. And that ain't what I'm looking for. So we're going to work our way out of this. What are you looking at, Joe?
I'm looking at Amazon right now, brother. I kind of like it here. I don't know if I want to short it, but there's something that I want to refer to, and that's just the correlation between volume and price, as I always mention. And then you have indecision candles, a topping tail candle at a high, right? I don't know. We're up 1.7% on the session, and the overall market is extremely strong. Do I want to be shorting this? I don't know. Of course short it or
No,
okay. I'm like, of course short it, he said.
Talking to Rammer.
Yeah. So, I mean, we're going to wait and see, because if it does breach this 199.50, then I think we are going to push to 200 on the session. So as of right now, I'm gonna wait and see if it breaks this 199.50, as I just mentioned. And if it doesn't, if it stalls anywhere higher than where it currently is, and then price turns around, I'm going to look to join to the downside. I don't expect an extremely large move, but I'm going to look for somewhat of a move back to maybe sub 199s, 198.80s in that general vicinity, because I don't necessarily want to trade it. So remember, NVIDIA joins Dow on Friday. Wouldn't they want a better price and drop it? Option swing play. That's a great question, because I know that they're replacing poor old INTC, but I'll pull up. Yeah, exactly right. So we'll take a look at that. I mean, what is a better price though on NVDA? Like, the valuations on it's still relatively cheap on the street. We are holding the all-time highs around 140 or whatever it is, but I think the street still thinks that this stock is relatively weak. But it is hard to sustain the growth path that they've been on. So we'll have to wait and see. Their report comes up on the 22nd, I believe, November 22nd. So we've got a couple of weeks until that happens, and I think that's going to tell a lot about what's going to happen there, Sharif.
All right, guys, in case you're wondering, we are now affiliated with eSignal, a platform that lets you trade smarter, not harder. If you're interested, upgrade to that elite trading experience. You'll be able to analyze, strategize, and certainly you'll be able to capitalize by foreseeing those profitable opportunities with the platform that you need. You get infinite data, you get instant trading, you get to know where the market is moving before others with that lightning fast data and execution. It's also got great charts. Some would say it's got charts that change the game. You can customize and analyze the markets faster and in the way that you want. And we all know a solid trading plan requires back testing, and that's what you get here. You get better back testing, you get better scanning, you can predict the future by understanding the past. Real-time, reliable market data, up to the second market information from hundreds of global markets. It's everything you need all in one place, so don't miss a beat. Execute your best trades now. So if you're ready to elevate your trading, scan the QR code on the bottom right of your screen or click click the link in the description there. I was going to say check and then click. And then you got caught in between two minds, and that's just the story of my life.
You had the Elon mind going.
The Elon mind? I'm like a quarter of his intelligence, but it's all good. The dude's next level. So, like true to form, guys, I'm in trading real as a range now. I've had it trying to trade this as a breakout. Added at 57s, in the exact same area. We're going to scalp out 59s. I'm going to keep trading it in this way until it either breaks down or breaks out. Okay, because we're involved in it, we've got shares, and I want to eke out some profit. So we're going to look to do exactly just that. Let's set up another possible range trade here. We'll sit at 61s because apparently 62s is just too good. IBIT Dojo came into this exact area over here, right above that 4/5 level, 39.80. Generally, look at that hold up initially over here, right at that 39.80 level. We dip back again. A little bit higher this time, though, Joe. We got into about 82s there, the closing print. Last time, the closing prints were at 78s or 79. So I don't want to call this a double bottom, but it's an obvious area of support. We have a rejection area there initially, and now we've got two hold-up areas. So if this wants to set up in a different way, like a break and take above 40 and then use 40 as support, it didn't do that last time, and it certainly didn't do it initially. Look how quickly we dropped when we took 40 on the initial attempt. And we kind of did the exact same thing there on the second attempt. We took 40 and then popped up into 10s, and then, we just kept putting in lower lows and lower highs. So there was never that direction, that momentum that said, yeah, that made you feel, okay, we're going to hold 40 as support. At least I didn't feel that. So we're going to set up on this one again if it sets up for us in the right way. So keep tabs on that bad boy there. Neil was nice enough to get me shorts on Donald John range today because it's been, get it, Adara. There's a seller at 39.60. I won't be convinced otherwise, okay? 10:45, area crest, 39.60. 11:30, area crest, 39.60. 11:57, Joe. Area rejection, 39.60, and then again, 12:30, 39.60. So there is obviously something afoot going on here with that 39.60. Now, I don't want to overstay my welcome on the short, and let me give you the reason why. What else do we see with that 39.60 reject? I personally see higher lows. So if you're seeing that higher low, then you could be getting hints of an ascending wedge. If that's what you're going to get, we don't have an animation for it, but that could be a flat top break. Clearly, we've been above that level today, but you guys get it. This has been a consolidation level for a hot minute. So I'll submit to you a couple of possible trades on this. You get it in on the dip, like what it's doing right now, dropping into 38 4/5 or below 39 for that higher low, or you wait for a break and take above that 39.60. That's for the long. Otherwise, you can get short at around that 39 2/3, whatever, and 39.5. You don't have to have top wick. So I'm keeping my eye here on Donald John Trump. See however this wants to trade. We're going to look to eke out some profits off this bad boy here as it comes into the volume weighted average price yet again. And on my side chart here, Joe, 38, 69, 65, something like that. That's where VWAP is at right now, my man. How's it going over there?
It's going fantastic. Did you look at Meta's intraday chart today?
I did initially. It was bull flagging.
Wow, and that's what you want to see. Look at that bull flag with the breakout, guys.
There it is.
So we have an absolutely monstrous opening range here. We have this 5-minute opening range on Meta, and then we can even go down to the lower time frames and see the 1-minute opening range. High conviction, not a wick in sight here. The candle closed really strong. This is the strongest bullish candle you can actually display, and we have the volume backing it. So we have this extremely strong up move with the consistent volume, and then the dwindling volume on pullbacks. Fantastic. This is what we want to see. And then we have this absolute monstrous accumulation phase, essentially from earlier in the morning. What time does it start at? Around 9:39. All the way to about lunchtime, and then it breaks to the top side with volume slightly stepping in. But this is what we want to see. This is a beautiful accumulation phase, a bull flag, ascending wedge, whatever you would like to call it. But from a mechanical standpoint, look at the accumulation of shares here, chopping people up left, right, and center. and then it decides it wants to take that move higher. And I do think that Meta goes a little bit higher today, maybe push 573. We have broke the previous high day. I do think that we're going to break 572.34s and make a new high day to 573s, which is absolutely fantastic. So good look there on Meta. I know this is an Adara favorite. Adara, did you trade it today? Adara?
Looking at it, I have ideas.
She has ideas, so there you go. There you go. She has ideas, so watch out. And guys, that's one of the biggest benefits about trading on the prop floor is that you have so many different minds and so many great minds and putting ideas together. And then it's like, okay, why don't you do this? Why don't you do that? And it's like, oh, okay, I didn't really look at it from that type of perspective. And then you add their ideas into yours, and then it works out a lot better. Yeah. Well, hey,
Okay, so Ram's throwing shots here.
She is.
She's throwing shots, so she needs to be responding.
She does, and I seen her walking out of the kitchen this morning with an absolute abundance of snacks, and then blamed it on Fabian and said they're all for Fabian. I'm like, there's no way, and she's laughing. They weren't for Fabian. I don't think so. I don't know.
She was just helping her own con.
Yeah,
Get it, Ram. Fabian, were those snacks all for you? Truthfully, dude.
Be honest.
Truthfully.
You still have it. All right.
Chilean Nightmare has spoken.
Yeah,
He's spoken. So Ram, she drops a truth bomb every now and again, but most of the stuff we know exactly what's going on there.
Wow, man, look at Amazon. This thing is absolute. Oh, she just gave you the fail, dude.
Yeah, that's horrible around here. That's horrible around here, brother.
Dude, look at Amazon here. I'm so glad I didn't short this thing. I said if it does break this this doji candle here, that we can make a potential new high. And now that with the momentum that we're moving, it is just an absolute steady grind. The volume is dwindling a little bit, but I still think we make that push for 200.
All right, I'm gonna give this one the old college try on Donald John Trump. Nice little bounce off VWAP. We'll see if this one wants to bounce and go and play the range. I didn't get the VWAP dip, so I'm a little disappointed there, but we kind of got the mid-range. So I'm trying to account for the high or low situation. We'll see what we get, and we won't get upset. Seller at 5s. Right now, you can kind of see that. Okay, we're taking them out a little bit here, and bang, there's the first print. But then the range is true to form right now, so there's definitely sellers in the midpoint of the range as well. So we'll see if we can eke out some profits over here on DJT. We're just break even right now. We're just getting started and warmed up. But this is the midpoint of the range. Back to real. Just trying to trade this as a range as well because it's not printing me at 59s. Look how long we've been at 59s and that order goes unprinted. So that's a little frustrating there. We'll keep tabs on that as well. So yeah, we're still in DJT. We're in real. Keeping my eye on Palantir, obviously, and keeping my eye on IBIT. But this level here on IBIT looks like it might be giving way, that 39.80. And now we're putting in lower highs and lower lows on IBIT. So possible pullback here for BTC. Let's flip to the 5 and have a look at what the 5-minute situation is on BTC. So there was certainly support at 80s, and there was initial resistance at 80s to kind of make the case for the support, that 39.80. So I'm going to let this one set up a little bit differently. I don't need to be first into this one right now. So we're going to send you to Adara right now, and she's got some for us at the big desk.
Great look here for Astera Labs. I mentioned this one briefly earlier, but actually an earnings winner now pushing into new all-time highs here above the $96 level for ALAB, up about 38% for context. This one was trading around $70 yesterday. Now again, around $96, hanging out around all-time highs. So keep an eye on ALAB with that earnings beat here, well-received earnings, and popping up for me on a volume spike. But we are brought to you here by Trade the Pool. Trade the Pool allows traders like you to get evaluated and trade real shares using the company's capital with no PDT rule holding you back. That's a real edge in trading. Here's the exciting part. Trade the Pool has just launched a limited edition program for stock traders. For a one-time fee of just $97, you'll receive $20,000 in buying power. All you need to do is reach the profit goal. The best part, this limited edition program now has a reduced profit goal and fewer minimum trades required to reach the funded phase. Plus, the profit split is upgraded. Keep 70% of the profit. Don't miss the chance to explore this limited time offer. Join now for free. The link is in the description.
Get it, Adara.
Hold on.
Oh, we're putting up a storm.
Don't say anything. Absolutely money storm. Let's go.
All right, happy with this trade, but keep in mind, guys, what I told you about the range here, we're getting close to 60, so I've got my next beak wetter at 42s. We've been printing to the top side over here, but looks like there's some selling coming in at 40s. Now, let me tell you guys, 39 break and I'm out, okay? So we're long 39.06s, so we're gonna risk 6 pennies for the remaining amount here. I'm gonna move up my stop once I send it to Joe, but once I exhaust all my outs into, I guess, 39.60, 39.70, I'm going to be looking short. So I'm going to look to play the range, right? That's until it tells me that there is no more range and that it's either breaking out or breaking down. So I'm going to try to do my best here to follow my plan rather than going on a whim. And so we'll look to de-risk if I can at this next 42. That'll leave me with a couple of more outs. But if we, again, the situation is if we break below 39, I'm gone. If we get into 39.60, 39.70, I'll take out the majority of the position. I'll leave like one out left for the dream. But if I get stopped out for that one piece left, then I'm going to be looking to get short. So that's going to be the plan on Donald John range right now because it's not pumping or breaking down. So let's send it to Joe for a sec so I can just adjust my stop.
Yeah, absolutely. Guys, you know what? I'm just gonna do another little tester here on iBit. It's holding VWAP really well, but again, I'm not as tight to it as I would like to be, about 10 cents off from an entry where I would really like to be. So I'm just gonna put in a little bit of size here because if it does decide that it wants to take in another, the third leg higher, then I definitely wanna join that here, guys. So we got a little bit better price, 39.86s opposed to 95s and what I had it. So this is just around what Sharif was around last time. You had about a 38.85 average on iBit.
Yes, sir.
So yeah, I'm just a penny higher. I do, you know what, and it's showing me that it may pull back a little bit more. I am kind of counter trending it, or from a secondary trend standpoint, which I'm not overly in favor of, and I'm not afraid to cut this trade if it breaks 39.70s VWAP and goes lower, because if I see any signal of it turning around and looks like it's gonna head back northeast, then I can absolutely slam that trade heavier and heavier. So I'm really looking forward to that. And guys, Amazon is still crawling higher. Just under 2% on the session. Are you printing over
Amazon,
Yeah, Amazon. I don't even have it.
200 soon.
So it's gonna break 200 soon. I think it's gonna break 200 throughout the session and probably within the next hour or so. But again, I'm not overly happy with, as you can see, I didn't pack my patience on this iBit. I didn't let it come to me. It was a little bit of a chase, even though we're not too far out of the money on it. We're 4 cents, but we're gonna hold off. I do think that we bounce off of something. Somebody's been rejecting on Bitcoin 70,000, 74,000, because when it hits those levels, it sells really, really extensively and really hard. So there is somebody sitting around those areas just offloading whatever or shorting it with an extreme amount of size. But I do think we bounce a little bit here, brother.
All right, guys, it kind of feels like there's a seller here at the $0.25 on DJT. Been watching the book on this for a little bit, Ram, and there he comes into that 25 penny area. Here we go again, and it's met with some selling. So we'll keep an eye on this one. I would say that's kind of like the midpoint of the range here, that 25 penny area. So unsurprised that it continues to encounter resistance at this level. So we'll keep tabs on DJT. But what Joe was talking about, man, we're going to probably see that Bezos shelf, I think, real soon, Joe, because we're about 29 pennies from that with respect to the high of the day. In case you're wondering what we're talking about, Bezos shelf this or that, the 200 level on AMZN. Now it's been breached, right? But it got breached momentarily. Let's show them, Ram. So here we go. This was the last time it got breached. I believe this was earnings, right? So that was earnings, right?
Yeah.
That was earnings.
Yeah.
So they did weasel up, I believe, $200.48. It had been above that level, I think, in July. If we can have a quick look at the 4 hour on this one, I think the 4 hour showed July. Yeah, there we go. There's the July highs. It looks like we got into 201 there at one point in the pre. Was that the pre? Yeah, 8 a.m. So it looks like an institutional print, actually. So I don't even know if that's legit. But we were certainly above 200. We're at it right now. We're looking to take it this time. And, how we play this is kind of the move. Now, do you just punch in here and wait for that 30 penny eventual pop into 200? Or are you shorting off 200? What's your look? How are you guys going to trade this?
I think it's, sorry to interrupt you. I think it's really tough to punch all the way up here, especially from an intraday perspective. If it's going to break 200, you want to see that momentum step in, and we know that we're in that time of day. I'm not saying that the momentum won't step in, but for me to take a long up here, I wouldn't personally.
I don't disagree with you, brother. I mean, I would totally feel uncomfortable punching in long here on DJT. I was just thinking out loud. I'm like, if my bias is that we get to that Bezos shelf, that $200, then why don't I weasel a couple of 30 penny winner or 20 penny winner, something like that. But you bring up a good point. I mean, punching in at highs is inherently risky.
But I mean, but the break of 200 and you see that momentum come in, then yeah, that's an absolutely beautiful scalp trade. But with just slow grinding like that, that's something I personally.
I agree. Right? I agree. Let's see what else people are talking about. Mela is talking about snow is ripping. Haven't had eyes on snow. Let's pull up that bad boy over here. SNOW, Cloud Play, I believe they're also involved in security. What's the deal here? I'm not seeing any catalyst for this one today, so I'm not sure exactly why this is running. Let me see if the other constituents in the group are running as well. Let me have a look just at my my cybersecurity and cloud names. They're all running up. They're not as strong as Snow though, so. Yeah, well, no, some of them are actually. Like you got Pandub and Snow are identical today, 1.6, 1.66. CrowdStrike is up 2.43. So, yeah, Zscaler is up 1% as well. Cisco up 0.5%. ANET and Net, they're all green. So I don't think there's anything specific to Snow, but yeah, it's a good look. Rejecting though off that 115.81 high a day. We'll see how this one continues to run. Yeah, that's the look there. So still waiting here on DJT as we continue to encounter resistance at that 25 penny level. Boom! We just took it out. But again, Joe, we come into that 40 area and then there's a whole wall of selling. We just weaseled into 40. I'm waiting at 42s. We had a huge order come in, propel us above the $0.25, propel us above the third, but then we were met with a wall of selling in and around 40. It looks like triggered orders there. I'm going to wait for the print at 40. I've been waiting for a hot minute. At that 40 print. We still have a couple of more to take out there. So if we take out that 40 print, if we don't get stopped out here on DJT, I'm going to hold a piece for the dream, knowing full well that we have been ranging with 39.60 the better part of the afternoon. So I won't want to overstay my welcome, but I will hold a piece for the dream if we take that part out. Let's go back here into REAL. Yeah, I'm just playing this as a range, and there's not much else to report about this one. Let's see what else we're doing here, man. We're up nicely today on the Fuge, man. How many points are we up on the NASDAQ? We're up 268 points. I was about to say it felt like a 300-point day, so we're not that far. 1 1/3, bro. Everything above 1%. The ES, 1.13. The NQ, 1.35. The Dow, 1.08. Even the Rust continuing to run today, 1.04. So the indices doing real well. Adara, do we have a 10-year at 1 o'clock?
Yes.
We do have a 10-year at 1 o'clock. Adara will bring that to us. Somebody was asking me earlier about the 10-year, and I got to tell you, I don't have a read on these yields because usually they're running inverse to these equities, and that ain't the case anymore. So the 10-year, which is 10Y, if I can put it up here. Here's the future. I use the continuous contract, Joe, just so that we can have a look over here. And this has been the situation on the daily. Let me just load that up. Guys, we're almost back into those April highs. Like, look at the dump that we took in September when we were projecting bigger rate cuts. And look at the recovery on the 10-year from 3.5 up to almost 4.44. So I got to tell you, I don't have a read on this right now, nor do I know enough about the bond market and currencies and stuff to give you an honest and educated opinion. So I'm just steer clear of that. Amazon's still going. High day, Joe.
Yeah, great stuff there. We're still sitting here in our IBIT trade. We are hovering just above VWAP here around 39.84s, which is just fine. The longer we consolidate and we don't break, the more conviction that gives me within a break higher. So that's something I'll keep an eye out on. And guys, yeah, DJ take calls. Havana Woody made a really good point. I don't know what's going to happen overnight. I don't know if there's going to be a winner determined overnight. I don't think that's what the projection is, roughly around a week or so. crypto apparently. It's tough, but if we can hold here, and sorry, Havana, those DJT options, just be wary of the possible volatility onslaught. All right, so just keep an eye out for IV crush in that front, because when things happen, when these type of high level catalysts are occurring, then you can get caught in the volatility. But I don't know if it's going to be drastic enough to the point where it's like, okay, you hit a max pain point in your contracts. But we'll just have to wait and see, because I know there's a lot anticipating around that this time. So just keep that in mind, that IV crush is possible, but I'm not too sure how much implied volatility is going to step in within DJT, all right? So just keep that in mind. IBIT, it's not like I have an expected move on it or anything, or maybe we can find that, but I don't know if I use options AI to find my expected moves, so we'll have to wait and see. I don't know if they will project that for DJT on an election eve, we can say. So, guys, yeah, but we're still holding in here in IBIT. We're going to hold a little bit longer, as long as we hold these levels. And if we continue to break 39.90s, then I'm going to look to add a little bit, because I am really small in size, because I did take a stab at it already, and I was late on my entry, and I didn't take any profit. Well, I was out before I could take any profits, but we didn't really hold the high day very well. So that's a little bit alarming. So again, I mentioned this previously before, if we break VWAP, then I'm going to get out of the trade. If we trade higher than where my current entry is, then I'm going to look to add into the position. I'm going to look to add into strength as well too, guys. So just keep, and yeah, so DJT have 600% IV compared to yesterday, then yeah. So, I mean, yeah, I don't know. As an options buyer, you don't want to be buying when IV is really high. If you're a seller, if you're selling options, then a good high IV is good for you, but you don't want to be buying into these contracts when the implied volatility is extremely high. But we're going to talk a little bit more about crypto in the leading sectors right after we get back from Adara.
I'm not seeing that 10-year auction yet. I will let you guys know. Right now here, I have up this chart here. This is kind of showing the move we had in Bitcoin starting at 9 p.m. yesterday, which is when we got basically yesterday evening below that 67,000 level. Then we actually got above 70,000. And from what I'm reading here, according to CoinGlass data, this push up here into that 70,000 apparently saw the liquidation of $9.46 million of these bearish positions here liquidated in a few minutes. So lots of bearish liquidations happening in that move up to 70,000 that we had earlier today. Apparently, in comparison, bullish buyers or bullish positions here only about $1.1 million worth of liquidations compared to that $9.46 million in bearish liquidations. That is an 860% liquidation amount. So that's pretty significant here. It shows that at least at that period, there's a lot of bullishness going on in that space. We still see that. We're still actually, as of right now, back above 70,000, just barely. This is actually the 70,060 level, about where we closed the session on Friday. So kind of the last time we've been back above that 70,000. So let's see if we're able to hold and reclaim that level. We're still having here higher lows. This is actually a good low for us, staying above that 66,000, which would be the most recent low. So I think if we stay above 66,000, could be a decent look for BTC. We've heard from a lot of analysts here, both things that we've read and things we've heard from Mitch from Trade the Pool, Michael Noss from Trade Ideas, that crypto is likely to benefit either way, regardless of what candidate we get. So this could be on watch with that election regardless. Let's see if we do get that new all-time high that we tried to eclipse last week, guys.
Yeah, I want to say something that Pretty Panda was telling me in the chat. Shout out to Pretty, bringing up a real good point. Guys, on the ticket today, down ballot, obviously, if you live in Florida, you're going to be voting. Pardon me, Ram? I will in 1 second. On the ballot today, if you live in Florida, marijuana is on the ballot. Not literally, of course, but whether it's legal or not. And we were just doing some homework over here. We want to see how many people. What's the TAM down in Florida? What's the total addressable market? It looks like there's 23.5 million people in Florida. That's bigger than Ontario, where I think we're 14.5 now. We're weaseling up there. But that's a big market, is what I'm trying to say. So Pretty Panda brings up a good point. We should be looking at these weed names possibly tomorrow if that passes. Now, it's not the 400 million or the high 300s or whatever that live in the States, but it's a big market. It's like, I don't know,
big.
2/3 of the size of Canada. What are we at, 40 million now?
40 million,
We're at 40 million and change, the entire population. They're 23.5. So big market possibly for these marijuana names. So I'm going to be keeping that on watch. Shout out to Pretty Panda for reminding me about that. I knew that they were voting on that. Just had forgotten. So that's a good look. Let's have a look at what Real is doing. Real is, I'm going to stop out of this one because no, this ain't it, Joe.
Yeah,
this ain't it, Joe. I'm flattening out there.
Yeah,
and let's concentrate on what's actually doing well over here. Donald John Pump. But again, guys, we're getting into that 39.50 area, 39.60, and we're being met with some selling. And I saw an individual in the chat here by the name of Lake South Tiger bringing up a good point. He's like, look, this is the end of it for DJT. While I don't necessarily agree with that specifically, I do agree with being on the lookout for possible rejections of key levels. And this is the full picture right now, the 1 minute. You won't convince me that there isn't a resistance level at 39.60. 942, reject 39.60. 1045, reject. 1130, reject. 1157, 1226. You guys get it. There's a seller there, and it behooves you to know that seller. Now, how you play it, a different story. I'm in the long, but I also got shorts. So if this one wants to pop and drop through 39.60, I'll flip. I'll go short on this bad boy. So DJT 14.5%, 14.3%, doing real well. Okay, finally a red candle coming in here on the AMZN. This is a buy program. I mean, this is a really, really directional move here on Amazon. And now we have a high day of 199.82. Finally, a candle of indecision printing at 1 over here. It looks like they shut the buy program off at 1. And now we've got a second red candle forming. So AMZN working into that 200 Bezos shelf that we're talking about. Not quite there yet. Keep in mind the 10 exponential moving average on the 5-minute chart, a level that I almost always use, around 199.5, a little bit below that. So that could be an interesting area of possible support on AMZN. But good name for some of these Mag 7 names, man. There is nothing in red territory in Mag 7 names at all. Or in these microchips. There's only one name that's red in the semis microchip world. Probably a name you guys don't even look at. NXPI, it's on my list, down 6.13. I think this thing reported, and maybe that's why specific to it. So that's all I'm looking at right now, Joe.
Yep.
What do you got on your side?
I'm looking at MSTR. Someone mentioned it in the chat, so I'm looking at some Michael Saylor here.
Ooh.
Yeah, and seeing what's going on because it is heavily correlated with Bitcoin, and we are pulling a little bit back here in Bitcoin, but it has sold drastically more than Bitcoin, but still up 2.76% on the session, which is really good. I don't know if it's going to bounce. I would have expected a bounce by now. At this point, it's already too late, I think, for a move. I wouldn't say back to VWAP, but if you're looking for that continuation of the trend, then I think it's slightly too late for that. You got to look for a little bit of a reversion play, as Obi would like to call it on that one. So, I mean, we're still up 2.8% on the session, which is really good. But again, I haven't traded this thing too often, and I know it's just heavily correlated with Bitcoin. But am I gonna look if we can continue to hold 228 here, and we have a pre-market low, which can give me some more conviction. And if I can get the bottom of this range, then maybe I'm gonna join a little bit for a little bit of a bounce back. And I like this because it gives me a definitive out as well too, guys. So if I were to enter on MSTR now, then I know that at 227.50s, I'm going to be wrong. But again, it is a little bit of a spready stock. That's a $2 move. I don't know if I want to be a part of that. The spread is sitting around 18 cents right now, which is not horrible, but I mean, if I want to get in and have a stop loss at 227, that's a $2 stop. So I'm going to have to take a little less size on it. And we do have Amazon slowly dragging back in. But we do, Sharif, have Tesla crawling to the top side, looking to make a new high of day. And we were out of this trade around 253s, just under 254s. So we'll look to see if, I'm not going to take it up here. I think it is slightly extended, and the volume is slightly falling off a cliff. So my looks right now are going to be MSTR and IBIT because I am still currently holding that position. But as for sector performance, let's go in first, second, and third place. Again, we still have in first place consumer discretionary, led by who? Tesla and Amazon. Perfect, great stuff. Then we have the industrial sitting here in second, and then we have the tech sector finishing in third, guys, with communications in fourth. We'll throw the fourth place out there as well, too. So Meta and the boys in the communications sector. But other than that, I think we're just going to chop around a little bit more here on IBIT, and then I'm going to continue to look for a potential position here in MSTR, my guy.
All right, guys. I want to also mention that
Wow. Oh, no.
bang,
Wow.
we just took it on Donald John Trump. Boom, through that $0.50. Now we're up into 60s, guys. So I've got one more out on this monster. Where are we long? We're long at 6s, excuse me. So there you go, true to form. Look at that flush coming right at 39.60 now. I've got one more out on this guy, and then I'm really interested in getting short. But it really hasn't breached any of the levels that we talked about. 39.60 still in play. In fact, that is exactly the high on this 1 minute candle into there. And look at it just drop 30 pennies. More, keep going. It's all good. We'll get ready again for you guys on the downside over here. So higher low situation still on DJT. That's why I haven't been super short or super, not super short, but super enthusiastic to get short. I'm worried about the higher low sitch, but that is the look, and I'm gonna look to take out one more here, and then we're gonna either save a piece for the dream through that 39.60 break and take, or I'm gonna look to get short at that level. So I'm gonna pack my patience with that. Now Amazon has been extremely strong. The best looking chart, personally, I think on the day, maybe not the highest percentage gainer Ram, but certainly the great directional move. And look at this. Now you're getting a bit of a hold up here, exactly at the 10 exponential moving average on the dang 5, 199.50s. It's already up 10 pennies since I started talking about it. What was that? 37s. Now we're at 55s, Joe. So this one's holding up. AMZN 1.93. Now it's a bit of a deeper retracement. Sure, okay. Pulled back in 40 pennies. It hadn't done that before, but that's totally normal. Look at this. It held up at the 10 initially again. Over here, it held up at the 10 as well. This was the breakout of the range, too, because it had been ranging until that point. The breakout really came at 11 o'clock, right at the start of the show. It took out that high day at 197, say mid-40s, something like that. And it was done with a big boy green candle there that really propelled us up into almost 198. What's going on over there? He's like, yo, what's
yeah, man. Yeah. No, we were buzzing. I was ready about to be like Michael Dang Sailor.
Hey.
But then it pulled back a little bit on me there, guys. So we got a little bit off. And it looks like we're going to get stopped out, break even here, but that's okay. Continue.
All good, brother.
I'm like sighing.
It's all good. Yeah, so I'm keeping my eye here on the Meg. I haven't traded any of the Meg today. It's been a hot minute since I've been trading the Meg. We've been focused on these small caps, and that's all good. But we'll keep an eye out here. Oh, there it comes Donald John Trump right into my entry as expected. So we've got one more left on this. And I'll take it out if it drops below here. So anything below 39, we'll lose 6 pennies on the last out, and I'm fine with that. Let's see exactly if it wants to make a higher low. It looks like it's going to do a higher low. So the higher low situation is still intact on Donald Trump. 1, 2, 3, 4. And if this holds up over here, then 5. Who knows? Who knows, though? Profit monsters. If Trump wins, are the predictions for... I think you're asking, are there predictions for the DJT stock price? I've heard, different things. They're all anecdotes. Nothing obviously is based in fact because nobody knows. But I've heard things as high as, $80, $100. Who knows? I've heard the other way. She wins. This thing goes to $5, $10. Who knows? I guess we'll find out on Saturday or something like that because that's when people are predicting we get the results if it's really close. So apparently, like different people saying different things. Like if okay, here we go. DJT's coming into 39, so I'm going to take this out if we get way at that level. The size is getting taken out. There it is. So we'll take it out on DJT there. So still a higher lows type situation here. So is this a long? Looks like it was. It just bounced up quite nicely there. Yeah, DJT certainly in play, and boom, right up it goes again. Yes, Good look. But we'll look to play the range. But I don't think this range is going to stay forever, though, because of the higher low situation. That 39.60 is just dying to get taken out decisively. So right now we look kind of bad with that last out there, having gotten out bottom wick. But that's all right. Did well on it. And we'll look to do a little bit better if it does set up in the right way again. So just to go back to what I was saying, yeah, there's all sorts of different predictions about if Pennsylvania is decided decisively, like if one candidate wins decisively, or I believe the other one was Georgia. Like if Kamala, other situations, apparently because of these state laws with respect to counting, that we won't know until Friday or Saturday. So we'll, again, this is all guessing for now. So we shall see when that all pans out. But yeah, just keep in mind that, you know, we may not get the results right away. So if you're looking for there to be a reaction on one of these bad boys, you might have to wait a little bit. Profit Monster is also talking about Reddit. Let's have a look at Reddit. I know that this thing was above 100 last time. Oh, wow. Great day today for Reddit. Bit of a bad couple of days. We gave back some of the moves, but this looks like it's setting up a bull flag on the daily. No question about that. Look at that directional move there after earnings, and then we're kind of setting up the pennant flag component. Let's look at the intraday. Very directional here on the 5-minute chart. Just printed the high day, 199.40. Shout out. You good?
Yeah, but yeah, right on Reddit, like up 10%, up 9% after JB buys it.
Yeah, I don't know if it's just that, dude, but yeah.
Man.
Look, he's good. He's good there, but I think Reddit is a different story. I think they're monetizing their data, and I think that's in vogue right now.
Yeah, do you know K-Web? Are you familiar with K-Web?
Yeah, of course. The Chinese ETF.
Yeah. So he bought K-Web. The thing was on the bottom. The next couple of weeks, the thing just absolutely continues to tear. So I don't know how this guy is absolutely phenomenal at picking the right stocks at the right time. So we were mentioning this before. He just likes talking money. He tells me where the money is going. But guys, make sure you vote. I don't even know the combination because I personally. So I gotta vote. So it's. Come on, Joe. Yeah, there you go.
It is right there.
There it is. Go. Join. That's it.
Hey.
Exclamation point, join. So just make sure you guys vote. Make sure you like and subscribe as well too, guys. So if you're enjoying the content that we are bringing you guys, then hey, vote at Joe. There you go. No, don't vote me because I'm not a ticker. But I mean, there you go. Just don't forget to vote. Forget.
Who's this person? Oh, ST. Okay. Someone asking, can I trade without a broker, or is there a broker app that you can deposit? Yeah, you can, like Robinhood. You know, you just download Robinhood. I think you can. I don't know exactly how it works in the States, whether you Venmo money or whatever. You transfer money into your account. And then I think, you know, you pretty much are good to go there. I think in the States, it's a little different than Canada. If you don't have $25,000 in the account, you can't trade every day. I think it's 3 or 4 trades a week, guys.
Yeah,
PDT rule?
Yeah, PDT is
3 or
like
3 or 4?
Yeah,
something like that. Otherwise,
25K. You said 25K.
Yeah, 25K.
Yeah, exactly.
I know that you can get around the PDT rule by having multiple accounts. I know that some people do that down south, but yeah, that's your prerogative there. But yeah, there was plenty of these app brokerages kind of thing that you can get into. No question about it. Yeah, give that a shot.
And there's offshore brokers that you can use too, but be careful because you might run into like Sam Bankman-Frieds and stuff like that. So
what a guy!
Just be aware.
What a guy! See, one of his lieutenants there got time served, eh?
Did they?
Yeah.
Well, they all ratted on him.
Well,
anyway, so.
Carolyn Ellison, she got the book thrown at her, but this other dude, he was one of the top lieutenants.
But Caroline only got like 5 years or something, didn't she?
Well, yeah, that's still
she
struck a deal. She ratted it
like
she still got 5 years.
She still got 5 years.
Yeah, there's a lot of money lost there. I think they need to make examples out of people there, especially in a nascent industry.
No, you absolutely need to. Like it's like Bernie Madoff stuff, right? You gotta.
Yeah, man.
You can't.
Straight up.
It's not allowed. You can't be able to do that stuff and get away with it. And there's a reason why. He's an American citizen. Why is he creating an offshore broker in the Bahamas, right?
Oh, right? Shots fired. Okay,
no, but seriously, like why?
No, seriously.
There's a reason. There's like his parents are well off, are extremely rich, and have done well for themselves. But so why are you going all the way to Bahamas to create a brokerage? So anyway.
I like this guy, Forex AU. Gary Gensler's slim bag is next. 2 more days. Yes, you're counting the days till Gary G's gone.
Yeah,
gone. We don't know that. We don't know that. All right, guys, let's have a look at Zcar over here because it did a nice hold up at the volume weighted average price, up 180%. But this one is putting in lower highs, though. So even though that was a really nice VWAP hold, I think the trade was generally there, 10,975 generally. It gave you 1175, quick as you like. It's kind of trying to make this this breakout above, I think, $12, a bit of a level there. We'll see. Zcar, we traded this bad boy earlier, setting up real well, but I missed the best trade on this one. That was the VWAP dip on ZCAR, the largest or the highest, I guess, name or the highest percentage winner on the day, at least on my watch list over here, up 177%. Let's see what else is moving. IBIT at volume weighted average price. Okay. Let's have a look at IBIT over here. Update it so we can get the right look. Yes, it is at VWAP at around 39.75. It's not a level that I earmarked. I don't know personally how you feel about this. What's your look there, Joe?
Yeah, I just punched in, and again,
The Tina is still long.
He's still long, IBIT, for 39.30s. So yeah, he has an amazing price on that one. I heard him talking about the 50s earlier in the day, 38.50s or something along that line, which was feels like a lifetime ago. But yeah, I'm in it again here too, guys. If we break this low, then I'm out. And you guys know strike 1, strike 2, and then strike 3, I'm off the bat. So I will no longer be trading IBIT if I am wrong here and I have a definitive out. So unfortunately, it does look like it's gonna pull back a little bit more here and sell some, which is okay. And I knew that when I seen it price moving early in the pre-market, and then when it started pumping throughout the session, I'm like, we gotta really breach 70K with conviction and a lot of volume in order for us to hold that and then make that, which was now resistance support. So we need a lot of buyers to step in here on IBIT and break that, and we need to squeeze past 74. So we need those big sellers at those key levels to step down, and I think that's going to help us step into new price discovery there, guys. So I'm just keeping an eye out on that. Our DDT is making new highs a day, up about just under 10% on the session. So this thing's been absolutely monster. Sharif is over there punching keys, printing up a storm there.
Not
so
even. I'm actually out of the money on this one. I'm going to have to give it till about $11. So we're in Zcar over here. I took a bit of a scalp on it super quick, but it did find its footing. So here we go again with ZCAR, looking for this bad boy to pop, possibly to take that $12 level. I was able to get in for a quick scalp there, wet my beak right at $12, but was looking for continuation above that $12 area. It didn't give it to me. Now it's zigging and zagging. Anything below 11, we're gonna lose 40 pennies on this if it dips below 11. But I'm gonna have to give it to that because that's the area of support. So I'm packing my patience over here. Let's see if we can break out above this level. Scalped out a bit, but now 20 pennies out of the money here on ZCAR. I'm gonna send it to you, Joe, just so I can put in my stop and not have to sweat about this bad boy over here.
Yeah, because we like it too. We like how that we're starting to recover. We're holding that level really, really well here on IBIT. So I do think maybe if we do start to form in somewhat of a rounded bottom that we can continue and then potentially go and test the highs of days. But I don't know if that's going to happen immediately right now. But we know that after hours is when Bitcoin likes to make its moves. So some days right after 4 o'clock, around 5, 6 o'clock, you'll just see Bitcoin just start moving, and so maybe we'll wait and we'll get that. But again, like I mentioned before, we're going to need to see a lot of conviction and momentum in the underlying asset to break 74, to break 70, and then even more momentum to break 74, because we rejected that all-time high pretty heavily, and I was disappointed in that because I thought that was the move, that we were going to break 74 and then make new all-time highs, and we fell just short of that, which is okay because I think that, I wouldn't say inevitable, but there's a high chance that it's going to happen, and we are coming back up to my break-even point at IBIT. So if we do slowly start to recover, as you can see on the 1 minute, we have now formed a double bottom at 39.66. So that is giving me a little more conviction within the trade. And I mentioned this before, if we go to 39.80s, I'm going to look to add a little bit more size into that, and then we're going to try to push for the 39.90s and then see if we can go and test 40 flat, because I like that level on Bitcoin. So we'll keep an eye on that, guys. Let me know it in the chat what you guys are looking at. What are you cooking up over there, Shu?
All right, we just scalped some out there. Where did I take it out? Right at 69s, like 43s. Took it out at 69s, but look at that. It was a liquidity grab because it popped up there and there's literally no body of the candle in and around there. So it's even hard to see the out. So we're packing our patience. Nothing changes with the stop. The stop stays in exactly the same place, but we were able to de-risk up there. So I'm happy that I did that, getting some out, locking in those profits in case the bottom drops off on this one. And let me tell you, it absolutely could. So that's just how the nature of these small cap gappers. You don't like that, maybe it's not for you. that these bad boys, or trading these bad boys. Here we go again, popping up to 30s. Now, the spread on this one has been a little suspect, despite the fact that it's got about 20 million shares traded on the day. So it's not light on volume by any means. Yeah, like comparing it to some other small cap gappers that do hundreds of millions, perhaps it is. But generally, there is enough volume there to be able to execute your trades. Now, I'm looking at VWAP here, or not VWAP, sorry. I'm looking at Amazon at the 20 exponential moving average. So it broke below the 10. It's at the 20 right now. It's kind of moving a little sideways. I don't want to jump into this trade at around 199s on AMZN. I want to prove to me that it's going to put up at least a couple of 5-minute candles here that are green. And then I can absolutely be persuaded to get into this. We know that the high of the day is 199.82. I was of the opinion that we would weasel into the Bezos shelf, that $200 level. It hasn't come to fruition just yet. So we'll pack our patience, see if Amazon wants to set up in the right way, and then I'll get into, I'm very interested in getting into that. The other things that I was looking at Microsoft at VWAP over here, and it just breached VWAP quick as you like, and looks like it's breaking down below it. So I was looking at getting long here. I won't be getting long here, though, unless it reclaims VWAP awfully quickly and shows me some greenery to the high side. What else do I have on watch? Yeah, not much in the way of Mag 7s here, but Meta is obviously up and at 'em.
Up and to the right.
Up and to the right.
Up and to the right.
Yeah, that's right. All right, so that's what we're looking at. Donald John Trump's breaking through the level, guys. How come no one told me about this? All right, DJT is trading well above 360 right now. I think it weaseled up into 39.85. So that higher low situation is certainly in play right now. DJT, it's not giving you that directional move, but there is a higher low situation afoot. So if you can get in at the lows, chances are you print a little bit higher. So keep your eye out on DJT. I know I am. I'm involved in ZCAR, but I can certainly be persuaded to weasel into DJT as well, Joe.
Yeah, great look there, Sharif. I'm over here looking at Amazon here, AWS, Jeff Bezos. And I mentioned this earlier, and we were talking about it. In order for this 200 to break, we're going to need to see a little bit more momentum within the stock, and then we're going to need to see volume drastically step in. If it really wants to break 200, it's going to break it with some force, momentum, and you're going to see the volume following behind that. When we were already so extended at the point that we were, it's really hard to start a fresh buy program and then push that price through 200, and that's exactly what happened. We rejected just below 200 with a high of around 199.83, and then price just stalled. We didn't have enough volume and we didn't have enough participants in order to continue to break that 200 price. So that's why I was like, And I mentioned this, I said, I don't know if I'll be buying this up here. There's not enough momentum in the stock. As you can see, within these price candles, that it's just a slow, steady grind. A little bit of indecision in each 5-minute print. Even though they are all relatively green, you still want to see the strong, healthy candles like we have here, here, and here, right? So just keep that in mind. It's slower grind. These are good if you're already in at the base of the trend and you just continue in these and you see these candles print. But this also can signal a potential turnaround time. So keep that in mind. That's why I didn't necessarily want to take it at that high, is because I mentioned that, hey, we need to see momentum and we need to see that volume step in order for us to break that 200 level with conviction. All right, so that was my look on Amazon. So if you guys got into this significantly earlier, because I mentioned at the beginning of the midday show, before Sharif even got into his lesson, was just the open interest in the underlying asset with price targets that can roughly exceed $215, reach and exceed $215, guys. So keep that in mind. And look, I seen somebody in the chat also said, hey, I'm in IBIT as well too. Well, congratulations to you, because we are now trading in the money on IBIT, and that's exactly what we want to see. Katina Man has 39.30s. I'm in here at 39.77s. So let's see if we can continue this push and then possibly make a third leg higher and test the high of day. It may take some time, but there's nothing that I would rule out, Sharif, in Bitcoin at all.
All right, I'm keeping an eye on DJT here. By the way, I got stopped out of Zcar, so that's the end of the trade there. For that one, zigged and zagged, so I don't need that. It had to hold 11, it didn't hold 11, so we're gonna let that one go. I'm gonna focus on DJT because this one's putting in a discernible trend, higher lows here. Now it's how I work in that is the focus for me right now. I know that there's a higher low situation, so what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to think if I can get in half the position midpoint and then half planned dollar cost averages into the level that I want. And I think that that would suit me a little bit better than trying to punch in at highs or try to get or wait for the lows to come in. So I'm going to keep my eye here on DJT. Robbie V, I know you don't like below VWAP longs, but SPPL held the $1 is going higher. Absolutely. Let me have a look at that for you.
Yeah, there's a lot of people in the chat asking you to look at that.
Sub $1. No, it's not. It's $1.33. So this bad boy, what is this one doing over here? SPPL. Let's load up that Ram 11% on the day. This had a really good day yesterday. From 945 to the high that we put in the aftermarket, it was up 490%. If you want to take out from the morning to the pre-market high today, 660%. This monster is up, but it's decidedly lower than the closing print. Or no, sorry, that's incorrect. 120 is the closing print, so we reclaim that quick as you like. So we'll keep an eye out on this one. This could be a nice rounded bottom, possibly into that 160 area, volume weighted average price. We know it had trouble with VWAP, at least initially. Right at the open there, it tried to reclaim VWAP, but there was all sorts of resistance. So yeah, that's not a bad look, Rob. Yeah, it breaches my rules, but hey, have at it, man. And you have a good amount there between the $1.33 we're currently printing and the $1.62 currently right now that VWAP is at. We'll talk more about that and others when we get back from Midday.
Let's take a look here at the US dollar. Not one, but two straight candles to the downside. We mentioned this initially actually above that previous support level. Now we're breaking below that previous support we had in mid-October around that 103.5, currently around 103.38. So a bit of a lighter week here for economic data, though we are going to be getting initial jobless claims, which we know can make some moves. They're coming through on Thursday, and then on Friday we'll be getting preliminary Michigan consumer sentiment data. But it's worth noting here as well, heading into the FOMC meeting, which is actually on Thursday due to the election, this candle we got here on the DXY during our last meeting on Wednesday, September 18th. This is quite the doji candle before we get that support basing out at 100 and then pushing higher. So we do have a couple days until that. Be aware, though, there could be some moves on this DXY with that in mind. And this is especially interesting because the move, to be fair, might have been more intense given what happened with the higher than expected basis point cut, but keep an eye on the market and the US dollar with that in mind. Like I said, it's been a bit of a lighter day here, but just be aware of what we're doing. Tomorrow, we're not going to get much economic data at all, but the election as well could be a mover for the US dollar. Make sure to vote for your tickers of choice, ! join space, $, and your ticker of choice.
Sorry, Adara. I'm sorry. All right, we did the Donald Trump trade over here. Once we're in DJT, things get very heated on the desk. Joe knows, Tina Man knows. It's a lot of fun. We're having a good time today, guys. I punched in look, you guys didn't see my chart. I had all these different DCAs layered, 3960, 3950 for different share sizes, thinking would come into the range. It didn't. The higher lows were operative here. I tried to tell you guys that earlier. The higher lows and the flat top at 39.60. This one breaking out right now above 40. Zigging and zagging. We got in at 75s. Wet my beak at 85s. Wet my beak again at 95s. And then the ultimate out was there at 46.07s. $40.07. Excuse me. Not 46.07, 40.07. So it's doing a couple of topping tails right now through 40, in and around that 40.10 area. Let's watch and see how it trades at 40. We're not even at the day's highs yet, guys. 40.74 is technically HOD. So, if we squeeze at least into the high of the day, we've got some room from where we're currently trading at 40 into that $0.75 area. So DJ Dang T. I see you, Fernando. I see you, sir. He's trading that as well. Shout out to Fernando. I hope you're doing well on this. But Ram will get very upset if I don't remind you guys to vote. Every day, the Katina Man, the Neil come on, and they're giving you part of their time. I think that's you know, that's
Time is everything.
yeah,
bro.
absolutely. Time is money. Exactly. That's what I'm trying to say here ineloquently, Katina, man. And so take advantage of the fact that they're giving you their time and ask them about different names. If they traded it, they'll tell you how and why they traded it in that fashion. If they didn't, they'll tell you why they didn't or how they would have. So get into the chat right now. Vote for your favorite takers. There's a lot moving today, guys. So there's no shortage of takers. Mag 7, Joe, or otherwise. There's a whole bunch going. Get into the chat right now and vote. Let's see, Mr. Obe. That's a sick name. Mr. Obe. SMCI looking to push back up. I'm pretty sure the big kahunas have no problem talking about SMCI. So throw it into the chat. Vote for it, my man. Nisarg. I hope I didn't butcher your name. Nisarg Shaw. I really am sorry if I did. He voted for Qualcomm. Get into the chat and vote. QCOM, they want to buy Intel. Wow. And now Intel's out there in TSM's, and he's in Taiwan. Patty G, he's trying to strike deals with Taiwan Semi about 3 and 2 nanometer chips, bro. So there's all sorts of stuff to talk about from the fundamental side, the technical side, and everything else. Guys, get into the chat right now. Vote for your favorite dang tickers every day. The Katina Man and the Neil, they do the absolute most in a fantastic way every day between 2 and 2:30, Joe. So we would just absolutely love if you guys vote. There we go. Now the votes just coming in fast and dang furious. Rob EV, HOD for DJT. Get it, Donald. Let's go, baby. Zigging and zagging with 40 right now. What's your view on this, man?
On DJT?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm watching you guys have fun, so I'm living vicariously through you guys. Yeah, so I'm having fun on it as well, too. So, I mean, I'm not an overly meme-crazed guy, right? Sure. Like, but even though the price action is fun, but at the end of the day, it's just not something that I usually participate in. And it was the same with GME, right? I was like, okay, yeah, you guys are all having fun, but let me stay fundamental here to my style of trading and taking real well, I wouldn't say real because these are real trades, but something that I'm more comfortable with, something that has more of a technical standout play in my style of playbook. So I don't usually trade the meme crazed stocks like GME and DJT, but that's just my style, guys. Everybody loves playing it, and price action is price action. And I know I may be going against about what I'm saying, but just again, it's relatively the same. And if the pattern shows up, take it. But for me, the conviction necessarily isn't the same, right? So I just leave them to the side. There's a bunch of other tickers that I can trade, Sharif, and so that's why I like to keep those in mind. But guys, we're in this IBIT still. We're trading around just under 39.90s. I added a little bit, Sharif, just like I said I was going to, right at 39.80s. And now let's see if we can slowly grind all the way up to 40s. So that is, yeah, exactly, Aku, the Explorer. I love it. Just stick to your rules and values. Yeah, and that's exactly what I do. Yeah, and that's what I do. So do I feel Romo at sometimes or FOMO? Absolutely, because you guys are punching keys are being smashed, people are fist pumping, right? So it's like, do I want to get a part of the party? But you know what? I'm having fun in my own party. And my own party right now, at this very moment, Sharif, is IBIT. And I've been trading. I'm really bullish on Bitcoin. And I like it. So we're going to continue to stay in this position. I just wanted to mention to you something that I read earlier in today is that Deutsche Bank gave a sell rating on Palantir. Did you see this?
No.
Okay, so yeah, right. Major fail.
That's good. Yeah.
So with a price target of 21 to 20 bucks, okay, half of the story. Then I seen Wedbush has an upgrade and a price target of up to $57. So I need the sirens on that one. I don't know. There we go. So the two totally opposite ends of the spectrum there, and it looks like one of the parties is extremely wrong so far.
I got.
Okay, he's got to manage his trade. So yeah, no worries. But yeah, guys, we'll keep an eye out on SMCI. I know someone mentioned that, and it is absolutely rounding just above VWAP, which is really nice, actually. It's a really nice price action pattern where you hold VWAP and then you slowly curl back over, and then you have the break of resistance here around 26.34, and then you get the volume stepping in on the lower time frames as well too, so that can give you some more conviction in the breakout. So whoever mentioned that in the chat, that's a really nice pattern, especially the VWAP hold and then you get the volume stepping in as you break out. So that was my look there on SMCI, my friend.
All right, here we go. We're back in Donald John over here, but let me tell you, I've been watching the book on this one, and someone's pushing this down incrementally. So the resistance level was initially at the $0.25, and then it was at the fifth of a dollar, and now it's down to 15s. Let's see if we can take out the 15 seller. All right, we took them out, but they're also there at 16. So there is definite selling in and around this level over here. The question for me is going to be whether we hold on to generally 40 or not, because we kind of broke through, zigged and zagged. I've tried to put my stop to account for that area, and bang, through the top there. Now the seller at 25 there is again, Joe. So we're long 07s, we're doing well, but that 25 seller is still a roadblock in my way over here. So we took out the initial seller at 15s, but that big boy seller at the $0.25 still hanging out. So we're going to pack our patience here to see if we can take out that $0.25 or what, because we zigged and zagged to it. What's the 5 minute look like? The 5 minutes, yeah, it's quite indecisive right at the moment right now. Topping tail candles, but the trend is still intact. I think we're putting in higher lows still, but that could change at any moment right now on DJT. We know how this bad boy trades, and it's the day of volatility. I guess if there was going to be a day for volatility, it's not the most up on the day, obviously, but election day. I mean, if you're not living in the States and you're not following American politics, well, today's election day, and this is heavily linked to the election because the company doesn't make any money, or, you know, not yet. So we'll pack our patience on this one, see if we can hold that $40 area now with 40.07 cost basis. But I'm really interested to see if we can take out that seller at 25. And by the way, the seller at 25 is an iceberg because it wasn't posted there on the book. There just wasn't enough size on the book to reflect that kind of price action. So we'll see exactly if we can weasel up into that above that $0.25. I'm hanging out at a third and then at mid 40s, Joe. So that's the look right now. Good look for DJT, but it's going to have to continue going. Hope that the meat of the move isn't already done.
Yeah, good stuff there, my friend. I'm just looking over here at on my scanner. So I have a filter of anything over $15 and 10 million shares traded. So I'm just going to point out the top 5 stocks trading today with PLTR at 161 million shares traded on the session so far. NVIDIA sitting in second place with 102 million shares traded. Then we have DJT, Donald Dang Trump, with 94 million. And then SMCI with 47 million shares traded, guys. If we can pull up my chart. Oh, wow, it's absolutely tanking now. Okay, Sharif, it looks like Sharif's stop just got hit. I'm looking at his screen there, but we'll pull up my screen. And we're about 10 cents in the money, 11 cents in the money here now on, excuse me, on IBIT. And I thought that we were going to hold VWAP. I mentioned this earlier. In my first 2 entries, I said, you know what, guys? I think I'm a little bit early on this, so that's why I'm not scared to punch out. I punch out once, I punch out twice, and then I get the better entry and the better price on the 3rd time. So there we go. My RVR is now better. I have more of a definitive out. So if we're going to look at this from a risk to reward standpoint, I'm risking here or VWAP. So for me, 1R here, that's a big move, right? Again, same thing, a 1R here, that's a little bit more of a move. Now I can use VWAP and the low of day, or the low of this consolidation here as my stop. Look how much better my risk to reward ratio is because I have more of a definitive out and the distance from my entry to the stop is significantly less. So that will give you the ability to have a higher risk to reward ratio, right? So that's something that you want to look at. And that's why I tend to just get out of positions, because if I'm not exactly right, then I know that the chances are that I might be able to get a better price, all right? So that's just one thing to keep on mind. Yeah, Havana, tank, yeah, and oh no, it's selling. So there you go. Do you want it to sell now, Havana? Yeah, too many sellers at 40, yeah, exactly. So, I mean, someone's stepping in, they're holding that level. Sharif, I think your stop got hit there while you were gone. So I've seen it. It absolutely sold with conviction there, with the momentum moving to the downside. So yeah, guys, as you can see, I know someone else in the chat mentioned that they're in IBIT as well too. So congratulations, and I think you mentioned that you're in around VWAP too. So good luck there on you. And yeah, I'm still going to continue to hold. I did exactly what I said I was going to do. I was mentioning this to Sharif. I got in. better RVR. And then I also added at 39.80s as well too, looking for that breach of high a day, which can happen if anything, any volume starts to step in, my guy.
Yes, sir. Let's keep an eye out here on DJT. I'll see if that was a quick liquidity grab. We jumped off the 10 exponential on the 5. So I want to see if this is going to hold up. So I'm back in. Let's see what we do here. I'm going to wait at 99s, possibly for a fill, and then we'll layer our orders again to see if this one wants to pop or if it wants to drop. We're going to trade DJT and until it tells me not to trade it anymore. So we're gonna pack my patience. I'm going to keep my stop the exact same area, 69s, to account for that 70 pop and drop there. Oh, we could get stopped out soon over here. Yep, 39, 69, then we're going to put it 39, 60. There we go. So we'll see if that $0.25 wants to hold on DJT or whether the best part of the move is behind it right now. It's very volatile below this level. So we're packing our patience. We'll see what we get, and we won't get upset. There's other names that are moving as well. Finally, this name is moving. It's something that I've had my eye on a lot, VMEO. So this is another candidate for that VWAP hold high of daybreak. Look how it just straddles VWAP constantly. Every dip, it just gets bought up off there and then moves away from it. So this is kind of the setup that I talk about when I say a VWAP hold high of daybreak. So we'll keep an eye out on this one. It's obviously had trouble with 7, but that beautiful dip off the volume weighted average price printing for whoever decided to take that bad boy.
Sorry to interrupt you,
Yeah,
but that's for Peiko OR in the chat. That one's just for you, my friend.
Of course, bro.
Money Storm.
Always love when everybody in the chat is printing, man. I mean, obviously, good vibes go around. So if you guys are printing, we don't actually have to be printing, but we're gonna champion you guys, man. We're gonna shout you out and hope that everybody does really well. So that's a look there. Keeping an eye here on DJT as it weasels in. There we go. We get the print at 40. Let's see if it can weasel up a little bit above 40. Now some selling coming in at 40. Not surprised there, obviously. The ask above 40 and the bid a little bit below as people reinstitute shorts. But we've seen this story before with DJT. So I'm packing my patience here to see if we can get that continuity above 40 again, showing me the ask above 40, but the spread keeping the bid a little bit below that. There's not too much size posted on the gateway, so you're not going to see resistance reflected on the book. You will see it in the actions that happen on the book, which is the bid is unable to ascend above that 40 penny area, and that's likely because of an iceberg order that's hanging in and around there. So that's what I'm in right now. I'm in DJT trying to work back above into that area. Joseph.
Yes, sir. Yeah, we're just sitting here letting this trade work out in our favor. There's no reason. We took a little bit off. We're now at break even. So as we pull back a little bit, we need these levels to hold. But other than that, I'm just going to sit on my hands. And yes, someone who said we're packing our patience, we're holding our horses. We're going to see what happens here with IBIT, but I do think we continue to crawl a little bit higher here because it's just a strong asset. The momentum is behind it. Even though we had some days where we were pulling back, I still think the overall sentiment of this is strong and will be for the foreseeable future. So we'll keep an eye on that. I know someone mentioned MSTR, and when I was in it earlier, I'll just pull back up my MSTR chart. I didn't get much out of it, right? It wasn't breaking how I wanted it to, so I got out. I took risk off here, and then it came back out and stopped me break even, which is totally fine. I'm okay with that because, again, I didn't really lose anything. My thesis didn't plan out how I was expecting it to, so no reason for me to hold on to it, right? Why am I going to hold on to something that's not working? So I hold no loyalty to any stock at all. But that is that, guys. And we're going to take a look at the Qs because I know yesterday I shied away from them because I'm like, it chewed me up off the VWAP hold. But again, we're up 1.17% on the session, putting in this absolutely strong day. From a daily perspective, we're still holding these levels. And I think that we are going to go and test the all-time highs relatively quick. Within probably, who knows how the overall how the street perceives the election and what happens. But I think if there's anything strong, then we're definitely going to push all-time highs on the Qs. One thing is that it's been lagging the SPY. The SPY had made all-time highs before the Qs have, and these are slightly lagging. So I'm expecting the Qs and the Nasdaq tech heavy to eventually pick up and catch this all-time high. So we're going to keep an eye out on that. And other than that, what are you cooking up there, my friend?
I'm in Palantir here. I'm trying. This was curling up a little bit. So I thought, you know, maybe this one wants to retest that $51 level. It worked up into 80s, but I was a little lofty with my profit target. So it looks like I'm going to get stopped out of this bad boy over here for the remaining amount. There we go. Yeah, I just dipped in. Probably not a good idea. I hadn't been watching this one. I just kind of did it on a whim. And, well, that made me pay for it there. And we just got stopped out of the remaining portion of DJT over here. So 2 L's back to back, baby. But that's not too bad because DJT is continuing to go. So I'm happy I was able to weasel out of this on the day. But right now, it is giving back a lot. Now, let's see if this one comes into VWAP, right? VWAP is in and around 39, 38, 80s, generally in that area. Probably not going to trade this because, well, it's show's almost over, I think, about in 11 minutes or so. So I don't want to be involved in DJT right now. Let's have a look at the MAG, see what they're up to. Let's bring in the large caps and see what's afoot on those bad boys. What's the big tech up to right here? So I'm happy I didn't get into that 199 level on AMZN as that continues to bleed. It looks like it didn't really respect the 10 exponential or 20 exponential, but it could be finding its footing over here at this 198.75, and this 198.75 was a bit of a top before we really got going there into that 199.82. So AMZN putting a few candles here together, looking to curl back up. Let's see if it does just that. So Amazon in focus. Meta also at VWAP, and Meta's loved VWAP on the day, and it also happens to be that 570 area. So a nice drop back down from that 573, generally touch and bump back down into that volume weighted average price. Nice rounded top. Where's Big Spile when you need him?
Yeah, I was going to.
He's probably out voting, and he's probably picking people up and driving them to the voting stations and stuff like that. Big Spile is all in on this election.
I bet he's all in. Well, he's like, Joe, 20%. Spy's going down 20%. How can I play this? Give him a big shout out on the
He
trades.
wants blood, Joe.
Yeah, he wants blood in the streets. So.
I was going to say, do you know 80 million Americans have already voted in advance voting?
Yeah, that's good.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that's good. Get out there and vote.
Yeah, I'm just saying, though, I think about 190 voted last time. So that's almost half. Like, well, it's not quite, obviously, but that's a sizable amount there. That amount.
How long do you think it's going to take to project a win?
Well, that's what I was thinking. I was talking about that a little bit in the beginning of the show. I'm like, if certain states are won decisively, it's going to be a lot shorter. I think Pennsylvania, Georgia being spoken as one of those. But if they're not, then we're going to have to wait till like Friday or Saturday.
I think so.
And apparently some people are saying certain states have these like casting laws or, counting laws, excuse me. I'm not exactly sure which ones and exactly what the laws are, but it's something like to the effect that if it's received at a certain time, then it can't be counted until the night of the election something like that.
Something along those lines.
Yeah, something along those lines. But it's essentially the whole effect of what I'm yapping about here is that it just delays the results.
Yeah,
so
well,
that's kind of the look there.
The delay.
What are you guys looking at right now? Let's see what people are talking about. Lake South Tigers talking about SMCI. Let's see what SMCI is doing up in this spot right now. SMCI. Let's look at that one, Ray.
Yeah, someone asked about if they're going to reach the high day, and it didn't get too far off it before it started selling heavy now though.
26.79 HOD. I think we're very close to that. That's a hell of a rounded bottom there off. Like generally a VWAP hold. It wasn't even just VWAP. This level right here at 26.04. That's essentially the closing print from yesterday on SMCI. So a hell of a curl up here. Let's keep an eye out on this one, see if it wants to continue to run. I've had it up on the side chart a bunch. What's DJT doing? Okay, bouncing up off that 39.25 touch and bump. And now it's back up into 39 2/3. So that's a good look there. Upstart is also at VWAP. We were talking about Upstart and Affirm a little bit earlier, but Upstart's touched VWAP a whole bunch today. It's the Mag 7s that are VWAP that are interesting me right now. Like Meta, at the volume weighted average price, generally at 570. You've got the same thing with Google. Google at the volume weighted average price in and around 169.70. And you got NVIDIA as well. 4 candle hold up right now at VWAP at 139 and a quarter and a fifth. Generally, it's still putting in lower highs, but you're getting that hold up at the volume weighted average price on the Monster NVIDIA. It's up 2 1/3. Today, the second best performing Mag 7 name on the day after Tesla. Of course, Tesla continues to range in and around the high of the day at 254.93. So TSLA has been awfully strong on the day. And it looks like it really did respect that initial area of resistance at 253.5, because this candle over here holds up almost exactly. It dipped into 44s. So it breached it by 6 pennies on a $200+ name. That's a good look right there. So if you had a dip trade set up for this area consolidation top, you did well, because you're about $1+ in the money right now as we work possibly to that 255. TSLA looking real good, looking better than all the other Mag 7 names. But there's Amazon, curling up here above that 199. It's a good curl up here for AMZN. Could we wind up for that Bezos shelf touch in 200? It looks like it's curling up here, but you know, there's a few minutes left on the show. Don't want to jump into any positions right now. We'll just keep tabs on the ones that we've been talking about, and possibly take some questions from the viewers. Oh, come on, Palantir. Yeah, it Palantired me out of the position, bro. You did, Neil. Popped me out. Well, I wouldn't have put a 30-penny stop on this, you know, for certain midday, but it ended up giving you the direction just without me. So PLTR working back into the highs, but there goes Tesla's coming into highs, guys. We're about 10 pennies or so away from that high. Amazon is curling up here. It's above the 10 and the 20 again, as it's put in 4 candles now, green, or with higher lows, on the 5-minute chart. So AMZ, it looks like it wants to curl. Meta still stuck at VWAP. Google still stuck at VWAP. And NVIDIA, a skosh above that VWAP level. I think I've got it at 15s or 10s. NVIDIA at 25s right now. So looking to possibly bump, jump, bump, whatever, bro.
You know what? Origin story here. We're gonna jump in. So back when I first started trading, Sharif, I was invited into this little group here. And the boys, we just like to call it BMU. It's just what the boys call it. So shout out to the boys at BMU. But one of the largest holdings at our pretend firm there was Palantir, and I knew nothing about it. So,
seriously, eh?
Yeah, I knew nothing about it. So shout out to those guys. Yeah, because it's a bunch of my high school buddies. No, I didn't know about it. But this, mind you, this is in like early 20. This is like 21, right? 2021. During COVID and stuff like that, so I wasn't too familiar with it.
I didn't know anything about Palantir, so I started working here. Then I really heard a lot about it because of Sean, essentially, right?
Yeah.
So, no, I didn't know too much about it, but obviously, you know, look, bro, I mean, they do stuff that it's needed at the moment, man.
What's the one of the phone brokers, just a web-based broker? It's not coming to my mind.
Oh, Robinhood?
No, another one. It's that's frustrating. I can't remember it. Yeah, but if I knew, I would say it, man. I can't remember it.
What's the logo look like?
It's like blue, light blue.
Light blue Weeble.
Yeah, nope.
Okay.
It's frustrating me, but that's okay. We'll figure it out later. On to something else. iBit is trading higher, Sharif, and we really like that. It's gonna come to me at a time when
I know when you don't need it.
when you don't need it, right? So, but that's okay, guys. Hey, listen, we still got a lot of bit of well, not a lot. We got about just under half of this position left here as we're coming into the close of the show. And then we're going to see if we can continue. I mentioned this before. I do think at some point in the near future, I don't know if it's today or tomorrow, but I do think we break this high, the 70s. We hold it. I don't know if we're going to break the highs today, intraday. Everybody's trying to help me, but no one's getting it right. Because I would know. I wish I could say what it was.
Right?
No, it's not think or swim.
Is it
it's such a simple. No, it's really small.
Oh, okay. Then
so I don't know. It's not coming to me. It's frustrating me because I really want to think of what it is. But anyways, my friend, I got to look at it while you do something because it's gonna drive me nuts.
No, it's all good. Look, guys, we're in Donald John pump again over here, looking to curl back up. It held the $0.50 quite well, so we're going to give this one the old community college try. We're waiting at 77s and then 82s. It's up at 77s, but didn't cross right now. So it looks like we're going to either not get the print or Packer patience there. I wanted to mention some other names. Zcar, right back into that high a day. This thing's a dang rocket. The money trade on this was VWAP, right at that 1 o'clock, 12.55 time slot. You got in there. You did very well. It was also around 10 bucks. 14.70 HOD. It's moving like a dang monster right now. It's printing 50s and then it dips into 19. That should give you an idea about the spread right now on this monster. So Zcar certainly on watch, no question about it. Keep your eye on that bad boy as we go into the afternoon. I think it's awfully strong. It may have more. It may have 15 in the bag. It may even have 20 if it really gets squeezing. This one, we didn't actually check the float or the short float on this one. ZCAR, what is the short float?
I got it.
It's not even much, 1.3. What do you got?
Simple.
Well, simple.
Couldn't come to me. Well, simple. You guys threw everything out. Yeah, it was. They changed it now. It was a little.
It's Canadian. That's why the American viewers wouldn't know.
Yeah, so you guys were throwing everything else at me, but well, simple. So
well, simple. Yeah, that's kind of like our Robin Hood a little bit.
Yeah,
like if I could say something like, isn't it? It's kind of more app based and.
Double R said she was gonna say it, but I don't know.
Double R.
Yeah, Ram.
Oh, Ram. Yeah. You were gonna say well, simple, Ram.
I was gonna say well, simple.
Don't believe that for a second.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's a look there. Final minute, Joe. Any final thoughts before we send it to the big kahunas?
Yeah. No, that's it, guys. Sectors, consumer discretionary, Tesla, Amazon, absolutely on fire today. Palantir, Alex Karp, absolutely ripping it through the roof. Those were my looks on the session. I traded Palantir. We traded iBit. We traded Tesla. We had an amazing session today so far, and I hope you guys did too.
Absolutely. Likewise with me as well. We've got 1 minute left. The big kahunas takeover. It's going to be Satea tomorrow. And then I'm going to be off Friday and Saturday. So you're going to get a special dose of Obi and your boy Joe. It's going to be Joey Options. And the OB, he is the one, Knob. They're going to be on Thursday and Friday.
The Joby show.
I remember Adara, that there was the Adobe, or what was it called? Yeah, Adara and Obi, Adobe, yes.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
So we just got the prints there on Donald John Pump and then got stopped out for the last remaining amount. But it is now 2 o'clock, guys. So we're going to send you over to the big kahunas. We'll be on same bat time, same bat channel. Take it over, big boys.
Welcome back, everybody. Yeah, we're grown-ups now.
I'll take it.